Hello, friends, and you know what the sounds of those magnificent trumpets in the basement mean. It's time for another episode of Toad Talk Podcast here on this May 31st. This is episode 13. Thank you, listeners out there on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for tuning in. I appreciate you. We have a very special podcast this week, an episode with a brand new person on the panel. But first, before we get to that, I will introduce of course, myself. I am Croakitoad, aka Tad. Nice to have you back here on the podcast. And joining me once again is one of my usual panelists, and that is Grem / Zazarus is back.
Hello, thank you for having me back yet again, even though I'm supposed to be here.
Yes. And for the first time ever, not only is it a female panelist on Toad Talk Podcast, but for her first time here with us, we filling in for Raji this week, we have Ash Stereo.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here today.
Absolutely. And it's really funny that we have Grem and Ash here on a Sunday when about six days from now, I will be with Grem and Ash next weekend in person. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you. It's always fun when you come up here, so it'll be fun.
Absolutely. Okay, before we get to, I got to make sure I say this right, not bring your table, but bring your own news table segment. We'll talk about the Star Fox giveaway for the Nintendo Switch 2. Usually Raji covers this part, but I'm going to fill in for him on this. As we all know, we have been doing game giveaways since the very first episode of Toad Talk Podcast. The first one was Pragmata. The second was Bubsy 4D. And our third one is Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2. And it's coming out on June 25th on Nintendo Switch 2. And this week's hashtag, ladies and gentlemen, this is another entry. Even if you've already been putting your hashtags in previous episodes, they all accumulate. They all count as an extra ticket for the raffle to enter. This week's hashtag in the YouTube comments or Spotify comments or Apple Podcast comments will be hashtag Slippy Toad. Hashtag Slippy Toad. Type that in the comments and reply, and you'll get an entry into the giveaway for Star Fox coming out June 25th on Nintendo Switch 2. So make sure to do that. This is really awesome, and really appreciate Raji he does this out of his own pocket to help the podcast and all you listeners out there and support you guys and give back. So appreciate Raji doing that. All right, but with the giveaway out of the way, we're going to start our Bring Your Own News Table segment, and I'll kick things off. I just wanted to talk about a movie that we covered back on episode 1 of this Toad Talk podcast. It was in our movie block. We talked about a video game movie adaptation of a video game that I actually played, and I went into a little depth on it back on episode 1. But I finally went back and watched this movie last night, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it. Yeah, I can't remember where I saw it, but I did watch it. It was the Mortuary Assistant. Of course, this is based on a video game. It came out February 13th, 2026. Maybe it was on Shudder where I watched it, because it was on Shudder March 26, 2026. Maybe that's where I saw it. But it's basically about Rebecca, a woman with a troubled past. She's got kind of daddy issues because of her drug issues, and she's now grown up working at a mortuary place. And she steps into a world that is not what she expected. She was just expecting just another job at the mortuary place, but there's evil entities, spirits, stuff coming after her. And as the plot unfolds, you find out a little bit more about the story. Of course, this is based off of a video game that I've also played on my Twitch channel. You can find the content on my YouTube as well. Box office was 1.3. And I remember some critics were saying that the main character, Willa Holland, the actress, she actually did a really good job acting in this and portraying Rebecca. I think I also agree with that. I think she did a really good job portraying this character, and the jump scares were pretty good. But the whole time I felt like watching this movie, it felt like I was watching like a TV movie or like some sort of like kind of like watered down YouTube fan film. And I don't mean that necessarily in a derogatory statement. It's just like, it didn't felt like too horror to me. It just felt like, yeah, there's some jump scares in there. There's a little bit of horror in there, but it's not like horror that you are going to go crazy over, and like movie theater horror. I don't know how to describe it, but it just kind of felt like a secondary tier of horror than what I'm usually used to. But nevertheless, the creatures were good. I really enjoyed the creature design of the creatures, and the story for the most part, if you want to call it a story, kind of stayed true to the game. So can't really complain on that. But yeah, I just wanted to go back and cycle back through and say I did actually go back and finally watch Mortuary Assistant on Shutter, and yeah, it was a pretty fun little time. And as I slowly start to work my way around all these movies that we've covered in the first 12 episodes of our podcast, slowly working my way through. I know the Super Mario movie is one of the next ones up on my list, so definitely going to check that out. But yeah, that was what I wanted to bring to the table. Finally watched Mortuary Assistant after 12 podcasts later. Finally got around to it after previewing it on the first episode. All right, but we're going to move over to Zazarus. Grem, what did you want to bring to the table this week?
So my news, or my table, is that today's national holiday is National Smile Day. And yes, if you know me through the Twitch and everything, smile is my big thing. It does take more muscles to frown than to smile. So no matter what time or what day you're listening to this podcast, go ahead and give yourself just a smile. Like, even if it's in a mirror or just smiling to someone that you know. Smiling is a show of happiness. It's not a show of weakness, unlike some people. And just be happy, and hopefully this podcast makes everyone happy when they're listening to it. But yeah, happy National Smile Day.
Happy National Smile Day on a time where there's rumors where there's going to be a Smile 3 movie. So that's great. Perfect
Man,
timing.
the whole thing of like being on the 13th day and like everything is just kind of like this is a weird podcast all of a sudden.
Yeah, so it's like we reverse the 31 that turns into 13, and then now this is episode 13, and now Ash is with us. And speaking of Ash, let's see what she wanted to bring to the table this week.
So this week, what I wanted to bring to the table is that there's actually a free it's a free weekend for Path of Exile 2, which is a very anticipated sequel to the original Path of Exile. It's been pay to play since December, so if you have not had a chance to play it, I would say definitely hop on this weekend and see what the game is all about, because we don't know when it's going free to play, so it's a great time to try it out and compare it to Diablo if you play both of them.
Very nice. And the original one is free to play on Steam, is it not?
Yes, the original one is free to play. This one is not at the moment.
Okay. So get your chance to try out Path of Exile 2 if you've not. Free to play right now on Steam. The original one is free. And that is actually a game I've had this craving to play a Diablo style game for a long time, even maybe Diablo 2 on the Xbox and go for the achievements. But Path of Exile is right there with me, as well as Divinity, the Divinity games. I know they're not exactly the same, but those type of games I really have been having craving to play again. So maybe I'll check that out. All right. Well, that's going to move us over to our gaming block for this week. We have basically 3 games to talk about with an added topic that we're going to end it off with, but we'll go straight into our first game here. This trailer was provided by IGN on May 25th, so about 6 days ago. This one is called Spooky Tales, a retro horror anthology game developed by Liminal Road. And we'll take a look at the trailer here and see what we think.
Greetings, Fright Fan. Do you like spooky tales? Of course you do. I have something special for you. A fisherman arrives at a lonely coastal village and discovers you should never trust anything with more teeth than manners, especially when they smile before dinner. Next, a new student joins the occult club. Beauty can be captivating and lethal. What about this one? A ghost hunting crew breaks into an abandoned factory, chasing ratings instead of survival. And Finally, a late night party. Nothing says celebration like greasy pizza. But this party is about to become a real killer. Curious? Want to hear some spooky tales? Perfect, because therapy costs money, but wishlisting is free. Open Steam, search for spooky tales and add it to your wishlist. It's the healthiest, questionable decision you'll make this week.
Okay, that was super cool. I've never seen a game basically break the fourth wall upon itself in its own Steam store page and ask you to go there and wishlist it or just mention it. That is really cool and a really nifty idea. First of all, that I was caught myself smiling at a little bit since it's National Smile Day today at that. But it looks like we have about 4 little horror creepy tales that are in this one game with different stories, different settings, different characters that you'll be doing, kind of like a trash horror collection kind of thing here, it seems. But this one is developed by Liminal Road, hosted by a macabre undead master of ceremonies with a seriously twisted sense of humor. Players will dive into distinct stories that pay homage to classic horror tropes. These stories include everything from bloody 80s slashers and eerie Japanese body horror to modern mascot horror and vintage pulp terror. Spooky Tales is coming soon to PC on Steam. And I know Zazarus, his ears probably peaked up when he saw Pepperoni Johnson was one of the stories with a killer at a pizza restaurant. So I know he's probably looking forward to this. But yeah, this looks really, really fun. I will definitely give it a shot. I don't see a release date yet on this, so it's unreleased date so far. But definitely will be wishlisting this because the Grim Reaper told us to at the end of the trailer while he was standing in front of the Spooky Tales game store page on Steam, literally on the trailer. If you're not, I know you can't see it while listening to our podcast, but if you look up Spooky Tales, you should definitely check out the trailer because it's actually pretty funny. But yeah, Graham, what are you thinking about Spooky Tales?
Yeah, I agree. That made me smile as well watching it. Interesting kind of way of a game to kind of break it down into different, like, it's not just a one story that's parallel. It looks like there's like 4 stories into this, and it reminds you of the old timey, TV shows that they had back in the day.
Like Tales from the Crypt and
or Creep Show is what I was gonna say.
yeah,
but yes,
Creepshow.
yeah. So I think that's really, really neat. I think it's an awesome, like, because and again, in a world where like DLC and everything is out, where it's like, oh yeah, we gotta wait for the next one and it's DLC. Is doing all of them right then and there. Really, really funny. It's got a very old feel to it as well. I imagine the VCR TV glitch thingy that you're seeing is pretty much status quo for the game. I mean, characters look okay. They're a bit blocky though, but I don't think that was what they were going for. They just want you to have a really fun, good time with some spooky elements to it. Maybe even a game that I myself might actually be able to play and not be so super scared. So, yeah, but then breaking the fourth wall too at the very end was kind of funny. But yeah, like this looks pretty fun actually. I imagine it's probably just going to be single player would be my guess. But I mean, if there was like a co-op mode, that'd be kind of neat too. So, but yeah, this looks really fun actually.
Yeah, typically these games like this with this kind of art style, kind of like Torture Star Video and like the Trash Horror Collection and those Itch.io style horror indie horror games, they're usually, for the most part, single player, and this is kind of in that ilk, that family of indie horror. But it's officially going to be on Steam. Ash, what are you thinking about the Spooky Tales? Did any of the short story tales from just the preview pique your interest at all?
Well, looking at the trailer, honestly, the school story Japanese style one definitely piqued my interest when I was looking at it. And you actually said what came to my mind as I was watching it with the whole Tales from the Crypt vibe, because it very much gave me that nostalgia feel from the 90s of watching Tales from the Crypt and Goosebumps with the presenter that's telling you the story about the games.
Yeah, I hope he becomes more of like a central focal point mascot for the game, which it sounds like he might be, which that would be really cool. I think that could get people to come back again if there's like a Spooky Tales 2, 3, 4. You got to have that mascot that's there to kind of glue it all together. And not too many games have something like that where they're like the narrator for all of the story collection. So this is actually a really nifty and neat idea here. All right. Well, with that being said, I will definitely go and wish list that right now. In fact, I'm looking for it right now. They can vouch for me. Spooky,
Yeah.
because they're watching me do it. Spooky Tales. Watch it. Sorry.
And you know what's funny?
Oh, no, awesome.
Both Ash and I actually did wishlist it while the
Hey,
game was playing. So
there you go. Well, there you go. Now you got 3 of our wish lists here on Toe Talk Podcast. They're Liminal Road. So we're looking forward to your game if you listen to this, and can't wait to try it out. All right, moving on. We're going to go to our next game, and this is the big boy coming out in a year where everyone can't stop thinking about GTA 6. We've got COD is back again. Let's take a look at the trailer for Modern Warfare 4.
10 mics, then your asses better be in formation north of the stadium.
Orders are anytime, any place.
Sergeant J, keep your scouts in line.
Can we make a pit stop at the Komatu?
The new guy is low on rations. Make it fast, guys.
Who's that, a K-pop star?
The new supreme leader of North Korea.
No shit. That dude looks younger than I am.
You guys heard that?
작전 개시. 여신 종료.
You're still a wanted man.
Yeah, I know.
What did you do?
What I had to.
We make our own rules of engagement now. You are moving a weapon of war. The kind we deny exists.
You do what you need to. Because you know I will.
대반자를 찾아내라. 이 마을을 불태워서라도. 제발.
수류탄 투척!
We are not ready. We could all die tonight. We don't even get a choice. You broke a lot of rules, Price. No more rules.
Well, there you go. And I know one person on our particular table here got a little bit of goosebumps and hair standing on some arms there when they saw that character at the very end. But Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 coming out, what'd they say? October 23rd. This was released a couple of days ago, and it kind of took the gaming world by storm there for a little while, as COD is back. And it's going to be available for PS5, Nintendo Switch 2, PC on Battle.net, Steam, Xbox on PC, and of course, the Xbox Series X. It's the latest entry in the rebooted Modern Warfare series, takes us to South Korea after an attack leaves the forces stationed there in disarray. Simultaneously, everyone's favorite cigar chomping madman, Captain Price, is on the run following the events of Modern Warfare 3 and is seemingly on the wrong side of the conflict. With the series' best-in-class multiplayer set to return, along with the DMZ mode introduced in Modern Warfare 2 to be shown off on June 7th. There's plenty to look forward to. So they're only showing us the campaign for the game. And I know if one of our regular COD players were here on the panel that I know usually plays COD, they'd say, campaign, They're more play for the multiplayer and the PvP and PvE and all that. I am actually quite different. I love a good Call of Duty campaign story, especially if it's co-op. Even if it's not co-op, I really love the Modern Warfare games. I really enjoyed the 2019 Modern Warfare reboot, and I've played almost all of the original Modern Warfares as well, back on the 360 and whatnot. This one looks like it's going to be of the same ilk. All the rebooted characters and maybe some extra ones seem to be coming back here. Now, to be fair and completely honest with our listeners, the only rebooted Modern Warfare I've played so far is the 2019 first one. I haven't had a chance to play 2 or 3 yet, although we have kind of tackled into the Black Ops a little bit more on those games. But yeah, the graphics are what you would expect with the rebooted COD. It looks good. The story is pretty solid, just what you'd expect from Call of Duty, taking real world events and turning into tragedies and devastation, and then you as a player trying to work through these wars and conflicts and stuff as a player and try to fight your way through it. But this is totally emphasized on the story. Looks like a pretty solid story. The gunplay looks cool. The scenery looks cool, and of course, you got the returning characters, as I said. Grem, what are your thoughts on this? Did this pique your fancy at all?
Oh, and I had to calm myself down because, as you said, my goosebumps were all over the place. Obviously, you were referring to me.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the fact that not many people like the story aspect of these games. And that's a shame too, because something like this where you're kind of following a character's story, it still gives you the excitement of being a soldier, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, because again, we're in a time now where games feel more competitive than just fun, and you have to remember that too, that video games are supposed to be for fun. And again, everyone has their own definition of fun as well. So I was more of a Battlefield person myself, so I really didn't play too much Call of Duty. I maybe played one of them, but I don't remember which one it was. The driving in the car and shooting looked really sick during the trailer. I mean, that looked pretty cool. So, and it looked pretty realistic and very lifelike. So, this one looks to be really, really good. Hopefully, more people will give the campaign a bit more of a shot after seeing a trailer like this.
Yep. Yeah, just to kind of double back on that, most players that I know anyway just are more excited just to see what the multiplayer is going to do, and just from the people that I'm around in my circle, are kind of like treat COD as like the next Madden or WWE, where it's just like it's just the same stuff again every couple years, and they don't really change much up. So maybe this will change it up. Maybe they'll add some extra stuff with the DMZ mode. I know a few people were really excited about DMZ, really enjoyed that mode. But yeah, obviously they're going to reveal a little bit more multiplayer stuff on June 7th. So we'll see what that contains. That's going to be about a week from. Actually, we might be able to cover that on next week's episode. We'll see. But Ash, what did you think about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4?
Honestly, I've never been really big on COD, but I was really into the Modern Warfare reboots with 2 and 3. So for me, I'm very interested to see how the story is going to go, such as why Price is working with Valeria, who's a known villain. But the return of DMZ is also one I'm actually really, really interested in, because when I played Modern Warfare 2, I was big into the DMZ mode. So having that back's probably going to get me to buy another COD game, which I haven't since 3, honestly.
And DMZ, just to clarify for listeners and also myself, that's more of like a PvP versus PvE drop in, drop out exfiltration mode.
Yes, it is where you can get more loot and stuff, kind of like how zombies was in Modern Warfare 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this looks super good. Let me just out of curiosity and just for the memes, let's just scroll down and see what the top comments are on this IGN trailer for this game. Um, first comment right at the top: Teletubby skins coming in season 1. Next comment: trailer is longer than the single player story. Next comment: actual name is Call of Duty 23 Modern Warfare 7. Next comment: Captain Price will return in Avengers Doomsday. And next comment after that is I'm tired, boss. So very Call of Duty community like comments there as the very first comments for this trailer. We'll see what the comments are like when they reveal the multiplayer and see what that goes. Man, I'm like Zazarus here. I'm a sucker for a great story, and I'm not so much the PvP and the multiplayer. I just want a great story with FPS elements, great gunplay, and if you use real life conflicts like that and you do it right with amazing graphics and it makes you feel like you're in that war zone, that you're in that battle, I'm all for it. So this is definitely something I am going to play. I just have to play 2 and 3 first so I can gather my thoughts on the story to see how this reboot has kind of gone on from 2019. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes open on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. More news on that soon to come. All right. Our next game, we're going to go to a more of a pixelated world here. And I've noticed that this game has kind of taken over Twitch a little bit. It's definitely gaining some traction on the streams that I've been seeing and browsing. But this one's called Mina the Hollower. And we've got the official launch trailer from May 29th. That was 2 days ago as of this recording. And we'll take a look at this game and see what this is all about. All right, that was Mina the Hollower we just looked at, and boy, if you didn't know any better, you'd think that maybe this was like just your old NES style game here. If you didn't realize this was out in 2026, because it certainly looks like it came straight out of a NES cartridge. I couldn't help but notice when you swing in the sword and stuff. As the character, it's got a very Zelda 1 kind of feel to it, maybe almost like Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. Of course, you got the colors in there. The sprites are all over the place. You got the overworld territory map, almost kind of like a Castlevania 3 kind of thing going, where there's different areas of the map. Looks like it's very action-based, some platforming, lots of combat. You got bosses in there, and just a little bit of everything here as a retro player. If you're into those old Final Fantasy or Zelda style games is what I first think of. But Mina the Hollower is available now on Nintendo Switch 2, Switch 1, PS5, Xbox Series XX, Steam, Humble, and GOG. Watch the Mina the Hollower launch trailer for this action-adventure game from the developers of Shovel Knight. Well, there you go. That makes a lot of sense in terms of the graphic style for sure. Take control of Mina, a renowned Hollower hurtled into a desperate mission to rescue a cursed island, whip foes, burrow through the ground, and explore pixel-perfect world. And Mina the Hollower, which just came out. I've been seeing a lot of people play this. Lots of very popular streamers have been playing this. And I guess I can see why. It looks like a fun little time here if you're trying to scratch that retro itch and just have a nice classic time. And especially if you're a fan of Shovel Knight, then this is going to be right up your alley for sure. Grim, what are your thoughts on Mina the Hollower? And can you see why a lot of people that I've been streaming, and maybe you have too, have been streaming this here on Twitch?
Yeah, actually, I have. The burrowing system looks really unique. Not too many games like that has that retro feel will have something like that where you burrow under. It also reminded me a bit too, especially with the music, Castlevania. Very much Castlevania vibes. You could see like the equipment, the trinkets, the weapons that you can use, like throwables. A lot of it reminded me of Castlevania. Obviously, the jumping, platforming, all that too. When they showed, and they just showed it too on there, the tower, that reminded me a bit more of like Battletoads. So this is definitely going back to the roots of like NES days, where it was simple, keep it simple sometimes, and it shows that you don't really need to go hard on graphics. Just make it look and feel fluid, and everything else will just take care of itself. A lot of these bosses that we're kind of looking at too, very like distinguished and like very different. Like you can definitely tell them apart, and then they're not like just they're made off of someone else. Kind of, it feels like it has its own feel. So I can see why a lot of streamers are playing this game.
All right, Ash, what are your thoughts on Mina the Hollower? Is this something that you think that you would play, and do you see the appeal to a game like this?
I definitely do see the appeal for it, and I actually added it to my wish list as we were watching the trailer. Just because it's given me like very old school like SNES vibes and Zelda vibes, like you guys were saying, and it's definitely something that probably gives a lot of people a nostalgia trip. And honestly, sometimes everybody just kind of needs that, I think, and it looks honestly like it has a good story.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong with the developers of Shovel Knight. I mean, that's a super popular game. Everyone seems to love Shovel Knight, and yeah, this is just kind of in that same family and that same ilk. So it's no wonder why this game is really gaining traction and being really successful with a notorious game as Shovel Knight under their belts. It's just kind of par for the course right now, but. Yacht Club Games, the developer of Mina the Hollower, definitely going to check that out. Looks like a fun little retro time there. And hopefully everyone out there is enjoying it. If you have been playing Mina the Hollower here and you're listening to this podcast, please let us know in the comments how you like it. Does it hold up to Shovel Knight? Let us know in the comments. I'm actually curious about that. All right, moving on. That was our last game trailer, but we do have a little bit of news about Madden 27. They just, as of yesterday, revealed the cover athlete for Madden 27, EA Sports Madden 27. Do they have a release date on this yet? I don't know if they have actually released the date for Madden 27 yet. Maybe just the cover right now, but our cover athlete for Madden 27 will be Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears. Of course, I know Caleb Williams for playing QB at OU for a little bit of time before I believe he went to Southern Cal to finish up his college. I may be wrong on that. But now he's with Chicago in the NFL, and he will be the cover star athlete for the next Madden 27. And I'll pass it over to Grim on his thoughts while I fact check myself and see if they've dropped the release date.
No, well, you don't have to. I got you.
Oh.
It's scheduled full release on August 13th of 2026, so in a couple of months for sure. I feel like I'm gonna pull a RAJI here, but I'll try to be nice. I mean, Caleb Williams did an amazing job this season, bouncing back, helping Chicago get into the playoffs. But I feel like there's at least 3 other people, quarterbacks that I would put ahead of Caleb Williams. And it's no disrespect to him. I mean, he had a great season, just a little under 4,000 yards, but he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Drake May and Sam Darnold. Now, granted, I know Sam Darnold isn't flashy, but I mean, he had over 4,000 yards, he had 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and he's the Super Bowl winner. But I mean, if you don't want to go that way, Drake May had a great season too. 4,394 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. It would have been, and now granted, I know it's another Patriot on the cover, so that's probably why they didn't do that. My number one pick, though, would have been Matthew Stafford. The guy's probably going to play one more season, and that it could be very well it. Threw for 4,707 yards, 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in the season. I know the Rams didn't make the Super Bowl, but I mean, come on, someone like that, go ahead and just give the nod to a guy like Matthew Stafford, or like I said, Drake May would have been better. But again, if for a team like Chicago, who's a very one of the original kind of teams, like an old school team, and everything, for them to finally get over the hump and actually start being relevant again, I get it. I just don't feel like this was the right time for Caleb Williams to be on the cover. Maybe like after this season, when he does throw for over 4,000 yards, gets a playoff victory under his belt, things like that. I'm sorry, not playoff victory, but like leading Chicago to the Super Bowl. That's what I meant to say. Excuse me. Something like that, I think I would have been a lot better. But again, kudos to Caleb for getting the cover, though, for sure. I know that usually with like EA, they'll do, or other brands do this too, not just EA. But it's the deluxe edition. I'm sure there's a collector's edition that'll have someone else and someone else on another cover. But at the same time, too, there is a thing called a Madden curse as well. So even though Chicago fans probably are like, "Hey, we got our guy on," they're probably like, "Oh no, wait a minute." So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's not anything crazy. Like, he has a great season. I want him to throw over 4,000 yards. I don't. Chicago's been waiting for a quarterback to do that. So, I just feel like this is just a little too early for him per se.
It's funny you bring up the Madden curse because I had two follow-up questions for you. And one was, is the Madden curse actually still relevant? Like, is it still actually a thing? And my secondary question was, do you think that Baker Mayfield would have also been a viable candidate to be the cover athlete?
I mean, Baker had an okay season. I mean, he threw for 3,693 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think the season before was Baker's, like really, really good season. At the same time, too, let me see. When it comes to Madden curse, like, I feel like it's kind of died a little bit. But the recent one was Christian McCaffrey. That's right, Madden 25. And it's been kind of one of those things where it can strike a player. So I remember him in let's see, who's Madden 25, which means last season, like, he did get dinged up in the beginning, and then his whole team, like the 49ers, were just completely banged up all season last season. So I mean, it can happen.
Yeah, that kind of like started in like the early to mid 2000s, right? That's where like the big heyday of the Madden curse was, like that early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, like Garrison Hurst, Dante Culpepper, Peyton Hillis, Sean Alexander, just to name a few.
And one more question before we ask Asterial her thoughts. I noticed his fingernails. Is that like part of his game ritual?
That's a very good point. Like, I noticed that too, and I wasn't entirely sure. Maybe it is. I'll be honest with you, I do not know.
Okay. Well, if anyone in the listening to this podcast knows about Caleb Williams and his fingernails, why they're painted with Chicago symbols and other things I can't make out, let us know in the comments. Is that what he usually does? Or did he just do that specifically for the cover of Madden 27? I'm actually legitimately curious about that. All right, Ash, what are your thoughts on the cover athlete, Caleb Williams, on Madden 27? Obviously, you pay very close attention to this each and every year, and you probably have a dog in this fight, right?
This is where I don't have a lot of knowledge on these kind of stuff, and the only thing I can really say is yay go sports ball.
Okay, well, if you had to pick one NFL team that you usually like, what would you? I would think it would be Chicago
Actually,
or
no.
Denver.
Yeah, Denver
Okay.
would definitely be my team, but I don't really have a dog in a fight for this kind of stuff. I just know my dad would probably think it's cool.
Okay. Well, that makes us feel better, right, Grim?
Yeah, a little bit. And then just as a heads up too, I did do a little bit more research. Yes, he does. He honors his mother, does raising awareness for Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and also a little bit of trolling as well, apparently. So he does
okay.
do. I guess he's done that ever since he was in UFC, at least.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe he paints a middle finger on his middle finger.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Sure, absolutely. Middle fingerception. All right. That'll cover that. And then our last bit of video game news here in our video game block. As we all know, Summer Game Fest is coming up around the corner, and it's going to be on June 5th, which is this upcoming Friday. Unfortunately, I will not be there to see it live because I will be out in the area of Grimm and Asterial next weekend. So I will actually miss it live, unfortunately, but I am super stoked and I'm super ready for it. And we just have a couple of games that are already confirmed that they're going to show off next weekend. And I do plan on doing a live reaction once I get back home for this. So it's going to be a fun game of avoiding social media and keeping my head in the sand until I get back, to avoid spoilers of what they revealed on the Summer Game Fest with our boy Jeff. But some of the games that they have already confirmed will be revealed this upcoming weekend is in the top of the list is the game that I legitimately shed a tear for when I first saw this trailer 2 years ago. I believe it was at the Xbox Game Showcase 2 years ago. And that is Gears of War E-Day, which is a prequel to the original Gears of War. Marcus Phoenix and Dom are both back again together like nothing ever happened. And I legitimately got super emotional on stream. It doesn't happen very often. I can count on one hand out of all the years that has ever happened. But just seeing Marcus and Dom together again, I just couldn't stop myself. I got super emotional, and I can't wait to check out Gears of War E-Day. And I've been super excited for this game ever since they announced it, and I can't wait to see what they're going to bring to their table this weekend for Gears of War E-Day. But also they're going to have Grounded 2, which I thought was already out. But this is, I guess it's not, but that's going to be confirmed for Summer Game Fest this weekend. We also have Anemo, Grave Seasons, Gungrave Gore, Blood Heat, Valor Mortis, Erosion, Don't Fret, Way to the Woods, My Arms Are Longer Now, Halloween the Game, another one that I am super excited to see more of from the people that made the Friday the 13th video game that we all used to play, as well as Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival, which is a game that we actually reviewed here on the podcast a few episodes back, and also another game I'm super stoked and excited to play and check out. I'm a huge fan of Hellraiser and the Cenobites, so I can't wait to see them in a video game setting. Also, The Pines, War Dogs, and Exodus round out the rumored games that are going to be shown this upcoming weekend. But yeah, so that's at least 3 games right there. But I always come away from these things being super stoked and excited for what's coming up in the video gaming world. I started doing live reactions of these several years back, and it's always fun to just sit back and see what's around the corner in the video gaming universe, video gaming world. And of course, there's a lot of stuff out there that they're not revealing. They're going to have big surprises. Particularly the Xbox showcase 2 years ago that had the original Gears of War E-Day trailer on it was probably, and I'll die on this hill, was probably the best game showcase trailer event, gaming event, whatever, for upcoming games that I've ever seen in my life. And the Xbox game showcase from 2025 was decent enough, but definitely not as good as 2024 in my opinion. So here's hoping that now that the time is rolled back again, 2026 picks it back up again and they really nail it. Because 2 years ago, man, they dropped the mic on everybody. Xbox did. But I'll pass it over to Grem. Do any of these games sound particularly interesting to you? And if not, are there any games that you're hoping that they reveal at Summer Game Fest? I mean, it doesn't have to be Xbox. It can be any platform, any game. whatever. I'll just real quick say that I really hope that they do something with the Alien Isolation 2 rumors that we talked about, I believe 2 weeks ago on the podcast. I would really love to see more from Alien Isolation 2. That's a game that I've been really looking forwards to myself. That is not on this list.
Yeah, Halloween the game and Gears of War are the two that I kind of want to get a little bit more in there. And then I try not to like put myself in like, oh man, I hope for like a TMNT game or something like that. I'd rather be just surprised. I go into watching these as, hey, you know, I know these games are going to be in it, but hey, if a big surprise comes in and I'm like, ooh, I like that game, and I might not even know what the heck the name of that game is. I like doing that a lot more. So there's not one where I'm like, oh man, I'm hoping such and such is going to be announced. I'll just go into it and I'll watch it all. And if I really, really like a game, I'm definitely going to be following it a lot more. That's the fun part of this. It's definitely a lot better than hoping for like a game franchise and then just get disappointed when nothing shows up, rather than just go in an open mind and be like, okay, I know a couple of games that are going to be here, but I can't wait to see what other games are out there that I don't even know about.
Well, that's a fair way of putting it. That way you don't like overhype yourself or get yourself disappointed or anything
Mhm.
like that. I'll also point out that not only Alien Isolation 2 is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing more about, but that's not on this list, but also the rumors of the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. I don't know if it's a remake or a remastered, whatever they're doing with the first two Max Payne games. Um, and we know just how much Jeff Keighley loves Remedy. He always brings our good boy Sam out there, Sam Lake out there for something. Him and Kojima for something. So they'll probably make some appearances next weekend. But super excited. They revealed news on the Max Payne 1 and 2. They were working on remastering them, I believe, a long time ago. I really haven't heard much about it. They were mostly focused on the Alan Wake 2 stuff. So maybe this might be the time that Max Payne comes out of nowhere and they're saving it for a big out of nowhere moment. That would be so sick. I just hype. I'm doing what Grem said I shouldn't do and overhyping myself to see Max Payne this next weekend. But Ash, are there any games on this list that you're excited about, or maybe something not on this list that you're looking forward to seeing possibly?
So on the list, my big two ones is the Hellraiser game, because I just have always loved the Hellraiser series, as well as the Halloween game, because I'm hoping if it's anything like Friday the 13th, it can be a fun little community game down the road. But as for games I kind of hope that we get some news of, although I highly doubt it, I'm wanting more information on Okami too. Just because the reveal of that I got emotional for, because I'm just an Okami girl. And then definitely I'm hoping to see maybe a new game from Team Ico, because we haven't seen a game in almost 10 years now, since The Last Guardian. And then maybe, although I doubt it, I would love some news on the new Elder Scrolls game. We've been waiting long enough since the last time they announced something about it.
Oh yeah, from Software. What was their? It was the DLC for Elden Ring was the last thing they've really done, right? From Software.
Yeah, the last thing that they did was that they did a Night Rain, which is like a Fortnite-esque Elden Ring spin-off.
Yeah, so it might be a little bit of time for From Software to step back into the ring again and reveal something up their sleeves, whether it be another Dark Souls or something. Or maybe I think a lot of people have been clamoring for what Bloodborne PC, since it's like a
Yes.
PS5 or 4, basically a PlayStation exclusive right now still.
Yes, literally every one of these events we're hoping for PC port.
Yeah, you usually hear that come up regularly, so we'll see. Every time this rolls around, it always gives you hope as a gamer, but you don't want to give yourself too much hope, because then you'll do what Zazra said, and then you'll overhype yourself. All right, well, that'll do us for our gaming block. We're sure to talk about what we did see on Summer Game Fest on next week's podcast. So definitely tune in next week if you want to hear our reactions and thoughts about what you saw on Summer Game Fest. And if you would like is there anything on the list that they have showed so far as for Summer Game Fest that they've revealed, or something you would like for them to reveal this upcoming weekend? Please reply in the comments. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and if there's any games we missed that we're basically patiently waiting for, hit us up in the comments. I would love to hear what everyone thinks about new games coming up around the corner. All right, well, that'll conclude our gaming block. We do have one movie we're going to check out. This is for Toy Story 5, and I have to be completely and utterly honest with our listeners right now. The only Toy Story I have ever watched is the original, and it was like 20 something years ago, whenever it like first came out. So I am very far behind on the Toy Story lore and movies. Definitely not, I don't really keep up with it regularly. I've missed 4 of them, but we will go ahead and check out the trailer anyway. I know there's a lot of people hyped for this, for the return of Toy Story. A lot of people are kind of like on it, like maybe Toy Story should have ended like back in the second one or the third one, and the fourth one felt kind of unwarranted. I've heard critics say that before, and some other critics that are just like, it's Disney in 2026. So I don't know, mixed feelings on this, but nevertheless, we'll watch it. It's coming out on June 19th, so just a few weeks away from it, but we'll check out the final trailer for Toy Story 5.
I can't! It's unresponded! And I have plastic fingers! It's good to be back. What?
Nothing. Someone needs a brown marker.
It's been too long, Woody.
Came here as fast as I could after Jesse called for help.
Oh, thank you!
We've got it handled. Look, Star, Deputy, me, no Star.
Oh, hey, Buzz, what is that?
What? Where?
Ow.
Hey,
I'm gonna let this device know how things are run around here.
try to stay calm, Jesse.
I'm the definition of calm.
It's not gonna work.
I want to talk to you, device.
Not touching, Jessica.
Oh, no.
She used the J word.
Scandal.
Hi! Oh, come on!
She's getting away, Buzz!
Enjoy the garage, Stuffalo Bill!
Stuffalo Bill.
First we were playing, and then the world started changing.
No. Oh, are we getting donated?
Donut.
No, sweetie. Donated.
Bonnie doesn't want to play with toys anymore. She needs me.
Jesse, you know Bonnie better than anyone. What does your gut say?
Bonnie still needs us. Our time ain't over yet.
We're gonna need backup. Affirmative, Commander. No way.
Come on, Bullseye!
Hey, wait for us!
You got a friend in
Clear!
Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. Only in theaters June 19th. Tickets available now.
Okay, there you go, Toy Story 5, and it seems like the theme of this movie, I don't know if they've tackled this before in 2, 3, and 4, but it seems like it's going to be all the old toys and the characters that you all have watched through the first 4 movies are back again, and they are rivaling the new age of toys, and that is more digital toys, like maybe cell phones and iPads and stuff like that kids are now using instead of dolls and classic toys and Mr. Potato Heads and stuff like that. So there's like literally a toy war going on with this new generation in 2026, with kids not really using action figures anymore and more relying on like their iPads and phones and stuff, and their Game Boys and stuff like that. I'm surprised they haven't really tackled Game Boy, because Game Boy's been out before Toy Story. Maybe they have and I just missed it. But yeah, the movie comes out June 19th. Again, I haven't watched 2, 3, or 4, but this one looks interesting. I definitely would want to catch up before I watch this. But I do like the aspect of like kids now playing on their tablets and iPads and stuff rather than the classic toys, and that's kind of the story of the Toy Story. But yeah, Grem, have you watched any of the other Toy Story movies, and does this seem or sound like a good idea, or should they probably have ended it many movies ago?
Well, okay, I got a couple of things. First off, to answer your question, I've seen 1 and 2, and so I've not seen 3 and 4. A lot of times when people kind of say that it should have ended. It's the people that, you know, grew up with Toy Story 1 and 2, and now they're, you know, teenagers, young adults, and they're like, why is this still a thing kind of deal? And the reason why I feel like this should be a thing is because this is actually really, you know, a very, I don't want to say touchy subject, but it is something that is going on a lot. A lot of parents give their kids a phone, iPad, what have you, and just let them do that rather than buying toys, buying action figures, and letting them use their imagination. Now, again, I'm not telling parents what to do with their children. That's exactly what they do. They are your children. You can do what you want. But it's interesting that Disney is tackling this subject in a movie. I love how the enemy is a frog. That's I imagine got your attention very quick. And you know, Woody with the bald spot too is also kind of funny. It shows that they're, you know, these toys are actually aging. And you know, my father had toys growing up. My grandfather had toys growing up. We all, you know, kind of did. So it is an interesting thing for Disney to tackle this particular, I don't want to say problem, but just it's a problem for them because obviously when you're making a movie and you're like Disney, you want to sell the toys and everything. And why, you know, if you can't sell the toys because no one's going to play with it, you know? So it is interesting that they're tackling this. And we know like they weren't going to touch Game Boy. They're not going to go up against Nintendo. Nobody wants to go up against Nintendo. Come on now, Tad.
Well, I have two things to counter that with, and that is first, you were talking about all the people that you knew that had toys growing up. I had toys growing up, and I've showed them off on stream. I used to collect those Ninja Turtle action figures like they were going out of style, and I know you did too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were including what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, I would, not to say I wasn't included or anything, but when you talked about that, you made me realize, yeah, even when I was growing up, I was collecting Ninja Turtle action figures left and right. Man, I would beg my mom and my dad to take me to KB Toys or wherever's toy store at the mall and let me buy the newest Shredder or the newest Michelangelo or Leonardo with its newest accessory. And, you know, that would be like my whole childhood growing up. And it is funny because I kind of fall in the same category that this movie is trying to tell, which is once you grow up to a certain age, you kind of leave the action figures behind and you start focusing on more modern technology. And that's what happened to me once I got into video games and really Attitude Era wrestling. Between video games and professional wrestling, I left my toys behind. I never really looked back again. I just got into that age where it was all about video games and wrestling for me. And so I can kind of see this for a younger person in 2026. You're like, oh man, why am I going to play with this, you know, this 10 or 20-year-old cowboy figure when I can get on my iPad and watch YouTube all day, watch YouTube shorts from Croakitoad all day. Why would I do that? So,
wow,
yeah,
what a call out right there.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it is a very interesting story. It's taking a real life, I don't want to say epidemic, but a real life, just a change in technology really to the movie. I think it's a very clever way to bring Toy Story back if they needed to bring it back. And yeah, we'll see what the critics say and how it does at the box office. We've only got a few weeks before it comes out. So we'll see if people still are clamoring for Toy Story after all these years. And yes, I did notice that the tablet is a frog. Of course, the frog has to be the villain.
Apparently, yeah.
So I am automatically rooting for the frog in this movie. So there you go. Just putting that out there. Ash, what do you think about Toy Story 5? Is this something that's up your alley? Do you think you'll go see it? And have you watched any of the other Toy Story movies before?
I honestly haven't seen anything beyond Toy Story 2. I'll be honest. I kind of grew out of it. But this one I might see, especially because of the whole commentary that they have going on around it with the whole iPad kids thing that is going on. As somebody that does tend to see it a lot in the general public, I think that this could be something for the families to watch and actually might encourage people to kind of pull their kids more back into toys and away from like iPads and video games 24/7 when they see kind of what it can be like, I guess.
Yeah, it just kind of makes you go think back of the days when we were all kids, and we were just happy getting that newest action figure, whatever it may be, and we just play with our little action figures in the room, and that was it. That's all we needed. That was the content in our imaginations. That's all we needed to let our days go by, and then the dastardly video game home consoles came out, and just we never looked back again.
That's true.
Makes us all feel old. Thanks, Toy Story. Thanks, Disney. Thanks, Pixar. Appreciate that. All right. Well, that's our only movie we're going to cover for our movie block this week. And we're going to move over into sports. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about, so I can just rip the Band-Aid straight off and get this out of the way and get it done now, is that the Oklahoma City Thunder will not be going back to the finals for 2 years in a row. It was looking very good all season long. Of course, the Spurs were kind of their weakness throughout the entire season, as Raji pointed out in our previous episodes of the podcast. But it went to a 3-3, and then literally last night the Thunder lost by like 8 or 10 points, something right at there at the end, and the Spurs pick up the win, and they will be meeting the Knicks in the finals, and we'll see who wins, the 2 seed Spurs or the 3 seed Knicks. I just want to point out real quick before I pass it over to Grem on this that I was actually watching along with basically like a radio broadcast of this game. I wasn't actually watching the live game. I could have, but I didn't. And I was just noticing the scores of some of the other players on the OKC Thunder side for this game. And I was just like, where is everybody? Like, where is everybody at that's playing the game? As I try to bring up the individual scores here from last night. Obviously the SAG did most of the work, which, that's kind of par for the course. He played the best that he possibly could. I mean, was it the best possible game he could have played? No, I mean, you can always play a better game. But the lack of Jalen Williams with that hamstring, I think, was a really big thing that kind of cost the Thunder last night. Everyone, I noticed a lot of people were kind of pointing the blame at Alex Caruso, especially with his post-game interview, talking about how everyone just needed to play better, and the Spurs were a better team, and it was just 2 good teams going against each other, but the Spurs were just better. And I saw a lot of people like pointing fingers at Caruso that because he made a comment about we're a very young team and we're still learning and stuff, and just kind of, how fans are, they're like pointing at Caruso and say, who's this we as old, dude? Or who is this we as young, dude? And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't get into that a little bit, but at the same time, I was just like, where is everybody else in this game? Like, where are all the points? Like Chet Holmgren was like barely there. He played like he didn't even want to be there, just to be honest. And then you had Dort in there, and he just, I don't know. I don't want to get off onto a huge thing on this because I'm just going to cry my salty tears in a corner. But I'll just say at the end of the game last night, I was just like, where is everybody else at? Why did they not show up to play this game? They were at home. The OKC Thunder had never lost a Game 7 in Oklahoma City before, so that was the other thing. A lot of people here had hoped that they were going to pull it out and get the job done, but they didn't. The Spurs beat us in OKC, and we are officially eliminated from this year's NBA. And man, you can probably hear the disappointment in my voice, but I was really hoping that they were going to make it. And I honestly felt like I said last week or the week before, if they beat the Spurs, I feel like they could have beat the Knicks. I think that was their big test, but Graham probably will politely disagree with that. But that's just how I feel about it. But we'll never know now, because it will be the Spurs and the Knicks in the finals. And with that, I'll pass it over to Graham.
Yeah, and it's not just the Game 7, and to what you were saying, I mean, Caruso had 22 last night. That was the second highest points total for the OKC. So, I mean, it's not like, he didn't play hard either. Like, getting off the bench, he put in 22. He was plus 18 on the floor coming off the bench. It's just, Yeah, I guess that game one is what I look at the most. Losing in double overtime on, at home for OKC, I feel like that might have given the Spurs the, hey, we can do this. And a lot of people said too that this sadly was the finals before the NBA finals. Like, these two teams are the best two teams in the NBA, hands down. I am a little sad too that OKC wasn't able to win last night, because that would have been a lot of fun for this podcast. And instead, it's kind of like, oh well, Spurs and Knicks. I mean, Spurs are a great team. So is OKC. I was really hoping that it was going to be the Thunder, but I mean, we'll see what happens with the Knicks. I think, like I talked about last week, when it comes to the Knicks, I'm a little worried, but at the same time too, they've gained a lot of confidence in the NBA playoffs with the teams that they faced, including kind of 4-0ing the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's sometimes confidence will get you there. So, and I don't know what happened in Game 7. Sometimes it just happens where you run out of steam, I guess, towards the end, or you just have an off night, and it can happen. It just sucks that it happens on a Game 7, one of the biggest stages going into the NBA Finals. So it is a tough break for OKC. It would have been amazing to have OKC and the Knicks one-on-one, but it'll be, like you said, Spurs and Knicks, Game 1 in San Antonio, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll be rooting for my Knicks for sure.
Yeah, I said last night, because the salty tears were still developing, but I was just like, man, I don't care about NBA now. Time to switch over to college football. But honestly, deep down inside, just because we're friends and I know how much you love the Knicks, I'll be going for the Knicks just to see you happy and win out and stuff. But yeah, it definitely was just like, I even made a Facebook post last night. I'm just like, oh well, that was disappointing. Oh well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I didn't leave any context as to what I was talking about. And one person was like, "Oh no, what happened?" I was like, "No, it's NBA." Okay,
Well, it's a good thing it was in your donut shop,
Yeah, right. I mean, it is May. I mean, we're almost June, so tornado
Yeah.
season's almost gone. But yeah,
Okay, so that's why.
but apparently thunder season is also gone. So it is what it is. So we'll keep an eye on the official not the playoffs, but the official finals of the NBA, Knicks versus Spurs, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens. But one thing is for sure, OKC will not be pulling a double championship, unfortunately. All right, we're gonna move over. We don't really usually talk about UFL a whole lot, but we will kind of briefly cap this. Grem wanted to talk a little bit. Wanted to talk a little bit about the UFL here as it stands right now at the end of May. So for that, I'll pass it over to him and let him kind of briefly go over what's going on.
Yeah, we touched a little bit about the NFL a little bit, but with the UFL, if you're a football fan, today was the last day of the season. Playoffs will be starting, I believe, next week. We do have 4 teams in the playoffs. I believe 2 of them are expansion teams, or their first year in the league, and that the Orlando Storm and the Louisville Kings will be the 2 that are the new ones. DC Defenders and the St. Louis Battlehawks will also be in the playoffs as well. I have a funny little tidbit too. The Orlando Storm and the DC Defenders have played a back-to-back in 2 weeks already, like to finish the season. So week 9 and week 10, and they will also be facing each other in the first round of the playoffs as well. So they'll have faced each other for 3 straight weeks in a row. But if you're a football fan, do definitely give it a chance. I know we talk about like playoffs and everything. I wanted to kind of give them a little bit of a shout out. Because again, their season is ending today. And then real quick too, while we're talking sports real fast as well, NASCAR, we talked about the winner last week. This week it's Nashville Speedway, the Cracker Barrel 400. Last year's winner was Ryan Blaney, who sits 3rd now in the points. Tyler Reddick still comfortable with a 122-point lead over Denny Hamlin in 2nd. So I wanted to kind of touch base on that. The reason why we're not talking about NASCAR is because the race hasn't even started yet.
Right.
And then
Yeah. I knew we were missing something.
yeah, I figured like we'll touch on it because obviously we want to at least make sure that it's being said. But everything that we said last week, between what had happened, and of course we announced that Daniel Suarez was the winner to a rain delay kind of deal with the Coca-Cola 600, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah. So I figured since we're not talking about it, I want to let everyone know, hey, the points, that's how it is in the top three, and kind of go from there. So we'll move on to NHL. And wow, what I was wrong, like, on how these finals were going to go. Colorado just
Yeah. What happened to the Avalanche?
like that was worse than I haven't seen anything that bad in quite some time. I know game 4 they finally changed goaltenders. I think it was who was it? It was Blackwood. That's right. So Wedgwood came out and Blackwood came in. And when you look though at that series, though, I'll run it down real quickly. Golden Knights winning 4-2, 3-1, 5-3, and 2-1 to finish out the series. That was a very, very close series, and a couple of goals here and there by Colorado would have made the difference. I guess they're just their sticks just went cold, and they just could not score. And it really wasn't. Wedgwood's fault. I mean, he was a great goaltender throughout the season. I really thought Colorado had like a really good chance of winning in 5, if not 6 games. But to be blown out and to go just only 4 games is kind of crazy. I know Colorado even said too, like we're going against the buzzsaw, which was really, really weird for me to hear that, because I'm like, this team was not blowing out teams in the the playoffs. You had them winning 4 games to 2 against Utah, an expansion team technically. They went 4-2 against Anaheim, so it wasn't like they were like winning in 5 games or even a sweep like Colorado was. So a big, big blow to a lot of people who probably thought Colorado was going to win the whole thing. And then we were talking about Montreal and their run. I believe they hit like a wall, kind of like how it was a couple of years ago with the New York Rangers. They took on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they had won 2 series at game 7s apiece. And that's kind of what Montreal did as well. They won 2 game 7. So, I mean, they're playing 14 games. And to be fair to Carolina is just a really, really good team. I know they lost game 1, 6-2. But again, that was kind of more or less like, hey, kind of a rust kind of thing. They were waiting on their opponent. The Hurricanes winning game 2 in overtime, and then also game 3 in overtime as well in the same score. And I think that was the game that kind of broke the Canadians, because game 4, Hurricanes win 4-0, and then game 5, they just won 6-1. I know they were up 5-0 at one point in that game. I think Montreal just finally hit a wall. It was a great, great run for Montreal. Good for them. But right now we have the Carolina Hurricanes facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights. And ultimately, if you were to ask me who I would pick for this, I'm going to pick Carolina. Carolina is actually the team the Hartford Whalers were before moving. When they moved out of Hartford, they went to Carolina. So I will root for Carolina, even though it's an Eastern Conference team. I feel like they are the best team between the two. But at the same time, too, I didn't think Vegas was all that special, and they're hitting their stride at the right time. I want to say I'm going to go a little bit more safer. I'm going to say Carolina in 6.
Okay. Well, by this time, this podcast next week, would we know a winner potentially?
Potentially. Let me see.
If someone
here.
just wins out, probably.
No. By this time next week, they'll have done game 3. So
okay.
We'll have a potentially a good idea on how close it's going to be. But
Right.
Saturday would be game 3.
Okay. Well, we'll be back with the NHL report next week, and we'll have a better idea of what the Stanley Cup's going to be looking like in 2026 between Carolina and Vegas. And like you said, Carolina's looking real good. They've been smearing everybody across the ice. And over on the other side, Vegas kind of pulling a big shocker over the Avalanche, sounds like. But that is your finals, and we'll see where we're at next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to switch over to wrestling news, and we have a double dose of WWE we're going to talk about. The first was from last night in an event for AAA. Noche, I'm going to butcher this. Noche de los Grandes from May 30th. And this was a AAA event that took place in Monterrey, Mexico. I did watch the end of the semi-main event and the complete entirety of the main event, so I will have a little bit more in-depth commentary for that. But we started the show last night with a AAA World Cruiserweight Championship match. Rey Fénix defeated the Laredo Kid to win the title, and I do remember them on commentary saying that every AAA title that was on the line did change hands on this show last night. So Rey Fénix is the new Cruiserweight Champion for AAA in the first match. Then we had a Latin America Championship match. We had El Hijo del Vikingo defeating El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Right, try saying that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
And that was also another title changing hands in the second match. And I see Almost is there.
I saw that too. That ruins my whole Danhausen thing. Well, it kind of does, but yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, or he could have been Americano... Trace.
Maybe.
Too late for that now.
Oh yeah, you're right.
All right, and then our semi-main event, and I caught actually the tail end of this one myself, but this was for the AAA World Tag Team titles. The current champions were Psycho Clown and Pagano, and they were defeated by the War Raiders. So Eric and Ivar are the new AAA World Tag Team champions, and the end of this match ended when there was they pulled the whole opponent or a tag team partner miscommunication, like Pagano nailed Psycho Clown, or it was the other way around, and then that opened up the other guy to get pinned by the finisher of the War Raiders, and then they had a post-match beatdown, and then on Psycho Clown, and Pagano was out of the ring, and they teased like, oh, he's going to turn around and make the save for his tag partner, even though they just lost, but he turned around and just kept walking to pull the heel heat, and yeah, Psycho Clown got beaten down by the War Raiders. I guess they're heels in AAA. That's what I was assumed because they did that post-match. And I guess Psycho Clown's a face. So that would make sense, I suppose. But yeah, the War Raiders, new tag champions for AAA in the semi-main event. And then, of course, the biggest match of the entire night was the main event. And I watched this from beginning to end. It was the mask versus mask match between El Grande Americano against the original El Grande Americano. This is the first time I've really watched AAA. Even with the Americano stuff, I just, obviously knew of it from social media and just kind of doing tidbits for the podcast here. But this was actually my first eyes on this. And I did watch it through the YouTube, by the way. I watched everything through the YouTube. They provided it for free. But yeah, it was actually quite interesting. The crowd reception to original Chad Gable was nobody ever. I think they were calling him the mature version of Butthole, the whole crowd. But then when Ludwig Kaiser? Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Ludwig Kaiser. When Ludwig Kaiser came out, the El Grande Americano, man, that whole arena popped, man. They weren't kidding. I think it was Raji said that he was massively, supremely over with that audience down there in AAA, and he wasn't lying. That crowd was hot for him and really love him, and they were booing big time for Chad Gable. But the match itself was crazy. There was blood. I do have a commentary note about when Chad Gable was trying to rip the mask open of Kaiser and try to get a little color on him. And then of course the camera shot away. And then when you come back, Kaiser's bleeding, but I loved how he did like a little baby, tiny little cut, like right around his eyebrow. And he had a little bit, tiny little bit of blood there on his mask and a tiny little cut on his mask. But then when it came time for Chad Gable to do it, man, there was like 50% of his mask was left on his face, and he was gushing buckets. Like he was leaking blood everywhere. He did not spare no expense in getting color and bleeding all over the place. And even after the post match, when he lost, he I thought it was funny. I was like, come on, man. But yeah, he took his mask off because that was a stipulation of the match where he had to be unmasked finally. And so original El Grande Americano comes to an end. But when he was being interviewed after the match, he was like moving his hand up and down over the cut to get more blood and cover his face full of blood. I was like, come on, dude. But I thought that was funny. But yeah, I thought it was also funny that Kaiser did just baby Luke. I was like, come on, dude, your face isn't that beautiful. Let's get some color, buddy. He had like a little tiny little drop on the side of his face. And and then Chad Gable just was like, hold my beer. Here, hold my Dos Equis. And he freaking was bleeding all over the place. But there was tons of run-ins in this. I guess the partners and the stable mates for both of these guys down there currently in the rivalry made run-ins for the match. It was a no disqualification match, grudge match. There was a big dive on the outside on the stage with those extra characters. There was I guess a Mexican celebrity that they brought out to stand at ringside at some point, and I guess he's blind. I don't know who he is or never heard of him before, but he had like a walking cane, and he knocked Chad Gable around with it a few times, and that got a big pop. And then the woman that I guess was involved in this rivalry this entire time, I don't know what relationship she has with these two guys, these two characters in AAA, but I guess she was fired. She like booked the match, and then because she booked the match, she was fired because of it or something. I don't know if she's like the general manager or something. But she came out and people seem to like her, and she's allied with Kaiser. But yeah, the match was bloody, lots of run-ins. You had I can't remember the character's name, but they got a big cheer too. I can't remember their name. I remember seeing them on Lucha Underground too. But they came out with a mask on, and they hit Chad Gable over the head with a guitar. And oh god, the name is on the tip of my tongue. I just can't. They got pink hair. They took the mask off, had pink hair. I guess that the character had been like beaten down and stuff leading up to this match by Chad Gable, and he got the heel heat off of the character. But they came out and celebrated at the end, and yeah, it was a big moment for Kaiser. And after the match, as I said, Chad Gable removed the mask, showed his face, and revealed to everyone. I love the commentary when he pulled the mask off. One of the guys was like, "That's Chad Gable," as if nobody in the world knew, just looking at their body structures, who they are. But that's wrestling for you. Gotta love it. And then Chad Gable had his wife and his 3 daughters in the ring as well, while he's leaking blood, and just says like the whole reason he put the mask on and came to AAA was to beat all the luchadors. And he ended up learning the Mexican culture and language and people and about AAA and stuff. And that Chad Gable would be back in AAA at some point. And so, yeah, El Grande Americano original is dead. He gave the mask to Kaiser, and now Kaiser can continue the run as El Grande Americano original to a big pop to the Mexican audience. And yeah, I'm already hearing people say on comments on social media, like, if Triple H doesn't give Chad Gable some sort of push as a result of this match last night, he's crazy, or he just doesn't like him, because it was a good match. I feel like there's a little bit too much run-in for my taste, but again, I haven't watched the storyline leading up to this, so maybe it was warranted. But there was a lot of extra, and the fact that Kaiser like barely, he had a chance to cut and to blade, and he just did this tiny. It was like kind of ridiculous as compared to what Gable did to his own face. So he's just gushing, and it's like, come on, dude. But yeah, I felt like the right person probably won, because he is massively over when he came out with his entrance, and the Mexican audience got to go home on a happy note after all the titles being changed hands. And considering the fact that in the semi-main event, the heel team War Raiders won, so that was kind of a down point for the crowd, and to bring them back up again in the main event, having their hero win, I think that kind of leveraged the event out in a good way, where people walked away happy. But yeah, this was my first really big chance on AAA. I enjoyed what I saw. The match was long, brutal, and bloody, and lots of run-ins, and I'm glad to say I was a part of it, watching it live, even though I haven't watched anything else leading up to this. And yeah, it was a pretty good time. If you're looking for a match that was pretty brutal and and bloody, and both guys kind of just left it out in the ring. Definitely check it out. I recommend the mass versus mass match. I know Raji said that he watched the complete match, but obviously he's not here with us. Grem, did you happen to catch any of the match or the highlights or anything? Do you have any commentary about the event at all?
The only thing that I was able to catch was the masking, basically. I didn't get a chance to watch really anything else. To kind of get back a little bit on what you were saying with the War Raiders being the heel, you have to remember too, like this is like Mexico, so anything like the War Raiders or even Chad Gable would be technically a heel. Just because of the heritage, I guess, is the better term that I'm going to use for that. I knew that Gable was going to get unmasked, and even before what had happened with Kaiser, like the legal stuff, I still felt that it had to be Gable. You have to remember too. I mean, Kaiser can speak. I believe he speaks Spanish as well, and he's German, and he can speak English and Spanish. So I think that also helped him kind of get over. I think what they did was they were trying to see which one was going to be over the most, and they gave them both a chance to go heel and face, because during the storyline when the original Grande Americano came back and El Grande Americano were kind of butting heads, a lot of people were like, oh no, I mean, obviously the original is better, and that's an imposter. But I feel like the language thing, and of course where they kind of moved it to AAA, I feel like they had to go, okay, well, let's see what the fans want to do and decide, and they did. It is very weird for the War Raiders to win, but this isn't the first time like WWE has done that. They did this with Angel and Berto as well. They won those titles as well at one point, and it's just going to kind of potentially showcase it and feature it in either Raw or SmackDown. I think the War Raiders are on Raw, if I'm not mistaken, and Rey Fenix is also on SmackDown, who could kind of also show off the Cruiserweight Championship. So, but yeah, I only caught the tail end. Yeah, Gable was like gushing, and you gotta remember too, this has been probably a good while since any of them really try to do the cut, blading, I guess you want to call it, isn't really done very often anymore. So it's one of those things where it's almost like a lost art at times, and it's not like you sit there and you want to go ahead and practice backstage or something. So it was unique to see, and it gave me, when I saw Gable like doing the speech and everything like that, it was like, dang, yeah, this is kind of like how it usually back in the day was with blood and everything, and I'm very hopeful too that Chad Gable does get push, and it's good that it's going to be Chad Gable and not someone just underneath the mask. I'm also happy for that as well. The whole thing about all of this too with Chad Gable doing this was because he was so obsessed with, I think it was LWO at the time, and it was either it was Penta or it was Rey Mysterio. I'm trying to remember now. But he kept losing, and I want to say it was Penta. He kept losing, and he's like, I have to find out why. And he went down to Mexico, and he learned the lucha style and donned the mask and everything. That was the beginning part of this El Grande Americano story. And for it to kind of end here, at least for Chad Gable's sake, again, I knew that was probably going to be the play. I figured Chad Gable would get the mask. Let's just hope that now it results into giving him some sort of significant push, in WWE.
I have a question for you, because you kind of keep your finger on the pulse more on this than I certainly do. But when I was watching this match last night, did they at any point when he stopped being Chad Gable and started putting the mask on for this Americano, did they at any point try to make it seem like, oh, we don't know who this is and nobody knows who this is?
Oh yeah, of course. And they had reporters too asking like Chad at one point, and it's like, so you are El Grande Americano. He's like, no, that's not me. Like, but he even had a point where like Chad wrestled, I think, El Grande Americano, but it wasn't him, and you could tell it wasn't him. But he was kind of showing that, hey, it's not me. So, and to answer what your question is, like, yeah, we all knew it was Chad Gable, but you have to tell that through the story. You have to fight through that now, because if you don't fight through that, then wrestling is irrelevant for the most part, right? Like, even though everyone in their mother knows that was Chad Gable and Ludwig Kaiser, you have to just kind of push through there and be like, no, this is El Grande Americano and original El Grande Americano.
Right. But to that being said, when I watched this match last night, and again, I'm just stepping into this for the first time for this entire thing, while they were in the process of having this match, they commented, because his normal finisher is like he throws the guy in the corner and they spring out, then he catches him in a German suplex and does that really awesome high angle bridging German suplex, right? That's like that and an ankle lock. That's like one of his patented moves, right? And they call it like the chaos bomb or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So he did that move to Kaiser in the middle of this match, and they even called it like whatever they said, chaos bomb or whatever. So I'm like, did they just give up on trying to make people think? They're like, oh, everyone knows who it is anyway, so we're just going to call his finisher as he does his finisher.
Well,
that part was confusing. So, and
yeah,
he was doing ankle locks left and right too.
Yeah, the beauty part of wrestling, though, is like, even if you are acting like a character underneath the mask, you still know what your bread and butter is, right? Like, your signature and your finishers are yours for a reason. And so you have to do that if you want to win a match, even if it does show who you truly are. You still have to do that. And again, the whole running gag with El Grande Americano was the steel plate and the mask. That was the headbutt. And that was the finisher for the most part. But this is a high-profile match where it's mask versus mask. And I think the whole story of that is like, I have to give him like this move because it's technically my finisher. I know I can put him away with this. And darned if I expose who I truly am. I have to win this match, otherwise I lose my mask.
Okay, because I was and just to go into that point, Ludwig Kaiser did. After being in an ankle lock for almost 2 minutes, he got up and sprang off the ropes and bounced off and actually did hit him with a running headbutt. So that was actually what won the match for him. But yeah, to just go back to, I don't know. It just kind of reminds me when Hulk Hogan was Mr. America, but they knew all along that was just like,
even with the lie detector and everything. Yes.
Right. I was just getting the silliness of that from this. Like, it's just like an inside joke, and everyone's there watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and again, you have to kind of push through it, even with the internet,
Well, I mean, yeah, to a certain degree, but I mean, all you have to do is just more for Chad Gable, just because his body type, it could be a different amount of people, but for Kaiser, he's got a very unique, slender looking body.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could pass Chad Gable's body structure off with other people if they're smaller statured enough. He could pass off for other people if they're tanned and small in height enough. But for Kaiser, it would be very hard to find a replacement Kaiser that looks the way he does, because he has just a very slender, unique looking body. Like, you see Ludwig Kaiser and you're like, that's Ludwig Kaiser. Nobody else looks like that.
Yeah, but here I'm going to pull something from Steve Richards, is that sometimes, though, wrestling should be about fun. And that's just it, too. It's like, yeah, we know who it is. Everyone knows who it is. But the fun is that, like, they are trying to mask it as much as possible. And you just got to kind of have to let it go sometimes,
Yeah, and I have no dog in this fight because I don't watch it regularly. It's just like an outsider point of view, just watching this match for the first time. But it's just like, I don't know. I guess I kind of feel like you could go two ways with this. You can either go like the Mr. America Hulk Hogan route, where everybody knows and everybody's in on the joke, And maybe that's what they were doing with this. Or you go the other route, which is like the more Attitude Era style thing, where you actually, where it's like, for just off the top of my head, you put DDP in a La Parka suit and he comes out and he drops a diamond cutter on somebody. You know, that's when you don't know who it is. But I don't know. Maybe they were going with the first option where everybody's in on the joke, but we're just all watching wrestling to have a silly time. And, you know, they're going to let the storyline and the match tell the story.
And it's WWE, so of course they're going to go with the Hogan one, you know.
The Mr. America one, brother.
Yeah.
We don't know who that white Fu Manchu belongs to. No, sir.
Nope, not at all. That tan body, I've never seen it before in my life.
All right, well, that's your AAA. We probably went off into the weeds a little bit on that, but yeah, it was the main event was good if you're looking for a good time. Good wrestling match, and mass versus mass, a lot on the stake, a lot at stake on that one. But we're going to move over now to WWE Clash in Italy, which just got finished while we're doing this podcast, and we'll just cover that real quickly. Obviously, neither one of us watched this because we're here doing the podcast. But just real quickly, I believe they had 5 matches on the show. This was obviously in Italy, and I think there was a lot of people super excited that a pay-per-view was happening in Italy. I don't know if this was the first time they've ever done that or not, but yeah, a lot of people were like super like excited for this, so it made it seem like it was. But yeah, our first match was Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, defeating Gunther. He retained the belt after a pinfall. And it looked like Gunther had his foot under the rope, but nobody cared basically. And Cody Rhodes retains the belt. The second match was the women's title was on the line. Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill in a WrestleMania rematch. Hopefully they gave them a lot more time here on this show. But Rhea Ripley wins, defeating Jade Cargill to keep her title belt. Looks like there was some outside fluff going on with B-Fab and Michin and everything else, but I would actually like to go back and watch this match to see if it's good, because I know leading up to WrestleMania, this was the match on paper I really wanted to watch, because I really feel like Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill is like main event, like top of the women's wrestling universe. You put like her, you put like her versus her, and you look at that and you're like, damn. So hopefully the match was good, but Rhea Ripley retains. Then we had Brock Lesnar coming back out, and he defeated Obafemi. We know, Brock Lesnar left his boots in the ring, and it was implied he's done. He's going to retire. Brock Lesnar do what Brock Lesnar want to do. But then he came back out of nowhere and shocked everybody, and now he's back, and then they actually had a match. It was a rematch from that was WrestleMania, and yeah, Brock Lesnar beats him here. And I almost want to say that I kind of called this. I think I said on a previous podcast that Brock Lesnar was going to come back and they were going to seal the deal on this at SummerSlam because it's going to be in Minneapolis. I think maybe we all agreed on that, but yeah, I think this is what this is setting up for the rubber match between these two big boys at SummerSlam in Brock Lesnar's hometown in Minneapolis. So that's what it's kind of looking at here. But Obafemi takes the L here to Brock Lesnar. And then I believe our semi-main event of the evening was Sol Ruca versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental title. And Sol Ruca, I believe, wins her first main title championship belt here over Becky Lynch. Big push there for Sol Ruca. Having her go over Becky Lynch is a great deal of trust, and I guess they recognize that Sol Ruca is starting to get super over. Lots of fans are starting to get behind her and really like what she's all about. And I guess she's really connecting with the audience on the main roster. Her time in NXT was, it feels like if you blinked, she's out of NXT and she's now on the main roster. Now she's an Intercontinental champion. That's what it feels like to me. But she's riding the wave, no pun intended. And the fans seem to really like Sol Ruca. And now she's an Intercontinental champion. And then the main event of the night was Roman Reigns putting his world heavyweight title on the line against Jacob Fatu in Tribal Combat. The whole story of the thing was Jacob Fatu bringing back the Tongan death grip from Ming /Haku. one of my favorite wrestlers and one of my favorite finisher moves from back in the Attitude Era, because the Tongan Death Grip would take down anybody and everyone, including Goldberg at that time when he was unstoppable in WCW. But I guess they brought that back, and there was like some stuff about you only bring out the Tongan Death Grip when you don't. It's like the South Park. You can. I think it was a South Park game, or maybe it's an episode where they're like, you can throw your farts, but you never fart on a man's balls. That's kind of what makes you remind of the Tongan Death Grip. It's like, you can use the Tongan Death Grip, but you don't use it on our bros, on your brother. You only use it when you're in a street fight and you desperately need to use it. And I mean, I could get that. It's fun. It brings some fun to those of us that remember that move and being back in WCW, and I can appreciate that. Kind of silly, but I can appreciate that as well. But that was the whole story leading up to this. And Roman Reigns, I believe, now 2 times has defeated Jacob Fatu to retain the World Heavyweight title. I might be wrong on that. Maybe it's 3 times he's beaten him now.
Yeah,
Maybe.
You're right. It's 2.
2 times. Okay. But yeah, he speared Jacob Fatu through a table in the corner, and then another spear. So 2 spears to win the match in our main event in Italy to retain the belt. Grem, I know you didn't watch it because we were here talking, but what are your thoughts on the results of Clash in Italy? And do you think what has transpired here in all these 5 matches is leading up towards a lot of SummerSlam stuff?
So kind of a few little bullet points that I was kind of looking at. I really had Gunther actually winning this match against Cody, only for the fact that I had like this idea on, because SummerSlam's around the corner, Gunther being the champion, and then like the undisputed champion, and Brock Lesnar's like, well, I want that title, and Gunther's like, well, I want your career, because they had to build him as like a legend killer in a way. So I thought that would be kind of neat, and especially it being in Minnesota, for Brock Lesnar's career finally to kind of be put on the line compared to with a title. I thought that would have been a lot better. They can still technically do that with the leg under the rope. Rhea beating Jade. The only thing that I remember about kind of seeing through some of the, like, I was scrolling through X a little bit when we were getting ready, was that Charlotte's kind of like looking at Rhea, and they have history between each other with WrestleMania matches. I think they're going to try to potentially kind of like frenemies kind of deal. They've been kind of rocky for the past couple of weeks, and Alexa Bliss has really been that glue that's trying to keep them to kind of be together. Brock Lesnar winning after 7 F5s or something like that. Cool. You called it, like, and I figured Brock was going to win, but it looks like now that they're tied up at 1, might be Oba versus Brock at SummerSlam. The Sol Ruca, versus Becky Lynch. That one kind of got me a bit. I didn't think Sol was going to win it. Because like you said, you blink and all of a sudden she's on NXT. You blink again, now since she's on the main roster. Now you blink now, and then she's the Women's Intercontinental Champion. I mean, that title is made for someone that is like an up-and-comer like Sol Ruca, so they're doing it correctly. So I'm not disputing like, oh man, she shouldn't have had the title. But at the same time, I'm pretty confident that's the way that title should be viewed and done. And a veteran like Becky Lynch could move on to something else. And then the World Championship match with Roman and Jacob. The one thing you forgot to kind of mention was at the very end of the match, Roman had words for Jacob, who reluctantly left the ring behind the Tribal Chief and the Usos. During the exit, Solo Sikoa and the MFT stared down Roman and Fatu from behind the ringside barrier. So we're probably going to have the Bloodline versus MTF going forward, which ultimately I feel like has, Jacob kind of in the middle of all of this, where it'll be like a 3-on-3 again, and trying to figure out like where Jacob Fatu lands in all of this. This was their first ever PLE in Italy as well, to answer your question on that as well. So it's the first time a PLE or pay-per-view event was in Italy.
All right, well, there you go. I saw a lot of people super excited out there for it to happen, so I just kind of figured that that's what that was all about. First time Italy gets a WWE pay-per-view, so congratulations, Italy. All right, well, that'll wrap up our wrestling. We'll be back next week, and we'll maybe get back into Raw and SmackDown and see what Danhausen was up to. But just because we're covering two major events, we're just going to call that good for wrestling on this week's podcast. And now there's nothing left but time to talk about Croakitoad news. And we'll start things off with the Croakitoad community news. And that's me. Hi, I'm Croakitoad. And I streamed 4 times this week. The first stream was on May 25th, and I was playing some Fatal Frame 2, trying to go for all of the 1,000 gamer score in the game. Some of the post-game achievements are super annoying in Fatal Frame 2, where you have to, there's like 5 different endings, and you have to do all these different prerequisites to get these stones and hold onto these stones to the final boss to trigger this final ending. And at the same time, you're having to basically fill up your full encyclopedia in the game of all the ghosts, the wraith, because there's different ghost types. There's wraiths, there's spirits, there's blah, blah, blah. And you have to make sure you photograph all of these. If you miss the opportunity, you have to reload the chapter and play it over again to get to that point again. And so basically you're having to just basically fill up your encyclopedia and 100% the game. So I'm in the middle of doing that, which is kind of annoying. I wish it wasn't as in-depth as it is for the achievements. Because I feel like I've spent way more time on Fatal Frame 2 than I really needed or should have. But it is what it is, work in progress. That was on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we had our CPW wrestling show, Cyber Slam, which we'll get to in just a minute. And then on we didn't stream on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we played a bunch of different games on Steam that I had gotten keys for. And let me just see if I can get, yep, here we go. We played 10 different games on Thursday, and I'll just go through the list real quick. We played Follow Us, and I played that alongside Asterial. We had a fun time doing that. Then I played Chick That Never Skipped a Leg Day. We did the Flamecraft demo. We did Monkey See, Monkey Do, Monkey Kiss You. Very strange game. Then we did the demo for Mullet Mad Jack. We played Retail Hell, which was actually really fun. I can't wait to get back into that again. Then we did Flesh Cancer, the Exit Project, Backstreets, SCAD, SCAD, and then the Attic 18th, 2 of those of which were anomaly games. But yeah, these are all mostly keys that I've gotten from the developers. They wanted me to try their game out, and I try to provide content as much as I can. A lot of these playthroughs and demo trials and stuff you can catch on my YouTube, as I always upload all of my gaming content onto my YouTube almost immediately now. But yeah, big night on Thursday on May 28th when I was playing all those different games. And then on May 29th, which was on Friday night, we played Necrophosis, which was on the Xbox, and I went for all of the achievements, so I 100% of the game. Very short game. The puzzle, the aesthetic is very much like Scorn, if anyone's played that. The HG, I think, what is it, HG Geiger, whatever, style of atmosphere and characters in the game was very interesting. I kind of liked it. But it was very much like a puzzle game. There was no combat to speak of, which was also nice. You didn't have to worry about shooting or blasting your way through enemies or whatever. Now, there was one section where if you got too close to a pack of zombies, they would game over you, but it's a very quick respawn, so nothing too crazy to worry about. It was just the puzzles, really, and none of the puzzles really gave me any trouble. There was one point in chapter 2 where you're trying to pull a maggot out of a trypophobia-laced body, and the cursor was stuck in the top left corner of the screen, which I actually made a YouTube short about, and I tagged the developer in, and funnily enough, they responded to me back on Twitter and said that they had just dropped a live patch today to fix that issue after I went through and posted that YouTube short up. So I'm glad to know, if anything, my YouTube shorts are good for something, and that's patching bugs in games that just came out. So there you go. But yeah, the game was pretty good. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you get a big familiar creature face at the end, which was super cool to look up at. And yeah, it was actually a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. I recommend it if you liked Scorn, if you like that HG Geiger style, like Alien Xenomorph structure, like like bones and skeletons melded into the wall and just stuff like that. I recommend Necrophosis, geez, which has been on Steam out for a while now. It just recently came out on Xbox a few days ago, and that's the version I did with all the achievements. But that playthrough is up on my YouTube as well. But yeah, those were my streams throughout the week, and now we're gonna move over to. I lost my. Or did I? We're gonna move over to the CPW report, Croakitoad Pro Wrestling, and we had our last event for May, our last Tuesday in May, which is always a PLE or pay-per-view, however you want to call it. And we had Cyber Slam, the one night where everyone gets to vote via the in Twitch chat vote. And we had a lot of really fun and enjoyable matches thanks to your voting in the Twitch chat. And I'll just quickly run down the card for last Tuesday at CyberSlam. And if either one of my fellow panelists want to have any comments about any of the matches, they can. But to start off our night, we had Bethany defeating Chain, 4-star match. This was just a typical match to get us up and going. Good to see Bethany again. Master of CQC getting the win over Chain, who's trying to get his footing back after really not having the international title or the Money in the Bank briefcase now. He's just trying to find his way right now. Hopefully Paul Bearer can help him out. And then our next match, our second match of the night, was Barry Bones making his in-ring debut, defeating Leo Reigns in an underground match to finally establish the Iron Knuckle Championship. This was a 5-star match. Very heavy hitting. Leo Reigns got busted open very early in the match, was leaking blood everywhere. Barry Bones came out, did what he said he was going to do, laid some heavy fists and punches onto Leo Reigns, who was doing just a little bit of a combination of wrestling as well as the bare knuckle style. But Barry Bones actually showing that he knew a little bit of street fight technique as well as weapons were allowed in this match as well. But at the end, it was Barry Bones who did what he said he was going to do when he came out with that promo a few weeks ago and laid the foundation to become the first ever Iron Knuckle champion in CPW, taking down Leo Reigns, our hometown hero when it comes to bare knuckle fighting. And now we have to wonder who is, it's like the SpongeBob episode, my favorite SpongeBob episode, where it's like, are you tough enough? Are you tough enough to enter the, what was it? The
Salty Spittoon.
The Salty Spittoon. Are you tough enough to meet Barry Bones for the Iron Knuckle title in the Salty Spittoon? Or are you going to go over to Super Weenie Hut Juniors with everybody else? We'll have to see.
Hey, I'm just going to say I had a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk, so I'm pretty tough.
Whoa, so maybe Grem will be challenging Barry Bones for the Iron Knuckle title soon then.
Maybe. It hurt my tummy, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I bet it hurt something else when they came out. Our third match of the night. Oh, how convenient. Well, actually,
yeah,
not for Raji, but I guess for you,
nope,
since he's not here. Our third match of the night was a match where the viewers, the Twitch community, Twitch chat got to decide out of 3 options, and they chose the option of the loser would have to own up their loss to the winner. This featured our two of our 3 Toad Talk panelists, which was Raji and Grem. Raji actually ended up getting the win over Grem. Raji's not here, but Grem is, and now this is time for Grem to redeem that stipulation that was voted on by the Twitch chat. And first of all, you don't have to disclose this if you don't want to, but which option did you actually vote for?
I think okay. It's going to be a little heelish of me in the wrestling terms, but I did vote for Jimmy Zaz to be the referee.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because, it would have been fun to kind of maybe see him.
Yeah, and the other option was the loser is actually the winner, so it was a nice little twist there, but I don't think anybody voted. I don't think anybody voted on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, the floor is yours, or do you want to wait till after I recover the whole show?
No. I'll take care of it now, because this way it'll make it so that Raji has to find this if he wants to hear it from me, because he won't be able to hear it from me right here and right now. So Raji, I admit defeat. Congratulations on your victory. And let us move forward into greater and awesomer more matches in the future. But for now, you have bested me.
And it's funny to think that you just did that when he said on last week's episode that he refused to do the same thing.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's the difference between him and I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Totally just what it is.
And he's not here to think about this, hear about this, or defend himself. He'll just have to listen to this on YouTube or Spotify.
Yeah.
Okay, next match was Maggie Moore defeating Spike Ryan, 3-star matchup. This was a Spike Ryan match where you got to decide, the viewers got to decide whether he was going to take on Nathan Moore, Maggie Moore, or Rogue. And out of the three, Maggie Moore won the votes. She had already gotten a win over Spike Ryan previous to this match. Same with Rogue. The week before, Spike Ryan got a big, I guess you could call it a upset win over Nathan Moore in the main event of Tuesday Toxic. So, but yeah, the fans wanted to see Maggie Moore come back out here and take on Spike Ryan, and it ended up being a good choice for them, as she is now 2-0 over Spike Ryan in a 3-star matchup. And well, that's going to make Spike Ryan be even more salty, I would say, after losing to Maggie Moore on pay-per-view. Next match was Disco Bunny defeating Connie, and this was another interesting one, 4-star matchup. And the options were that this was the last week that Connie was under the ownership, I guess you could say, of Aiden Gallagher. The three options were Linky, the team of New Jack, and the Sandman, and literally just hitting the randomize button on the video game. And the viewers, I believe, voted overwhelmingly to just have the randomization choose for us, and it landed on Disco Bunny, the former Young Lions champion. She came out, took care of business, gets a 4-star match rating out of Connie. So the viewers once again chose correctly on what they wanted to see here. And Aiden Gallagher gets to laugh as his contract with Connie comes to an end this week as she takes the L on pay-per-view. The next match was Darla Quentin showing up for the first time in season 3 of CPW to take on the Chief Medical Operations Officer Comatrix. 3.5 match star rating. This was just a impromptu match. There was no voting involved, but it was good to see Darla come back out and show herself for the first time in season 3. And of course, Comatrix able to get some action in the ring, whereas he's usually in the backstage sitting in his ambulance waiting for someone who needs medical assistance. So good to see Comatrix back in the ring as well, even if it is a loss. Our next match was Mike Metal, who has been at odds with the Unholy Alliance, the Clowns of Azarain, Miles Wildmore, and Alessandra as of late. And it was another 3-way voting choice with the community in the chat, to which the votes actually ended up in a tie for the first time on the night. And so both winners out of the 3 got to come out and take on Mike Metal, and Azarain and Miles Wildmore both won the votes with a tie vote. So it ended up being a 2-on-1 match. And they came out here and took care of business against Mike Metal. And there's definitely been some odds between the Clown Group and Mike Metal as of late here in CPW. After the whole ambush that didn't go the way that they wanted, Mike Metal reigned supreme. And now they've just been taunting him and costing him matches left and right ever since. Maybe he should have just taken the dive backstage, and then they would have left him alone. But he had to actually beat them in a 2-on-1 handicap situation, backstage brawl. And now they are just all over him right now, just costing him L's left and right. But yeah, the 3.5 match star rating there. Our next match was for the women's championship. We had Asterial, who is our longest reigning and currently going champion in CPW right now. As of now, the only champion that won the belt in 2025 and still has it. So a monstrous reign by Asterial right now as women's champion, but we are finally going to get a women's title match with the voting being decided by the Twitch chat. It came down to Lucinda, Celestia, or Chalk, and all 3 had proper rights to have a claim to go for the women's championship. Of course, Lucinda has been kind of named the #1 contender for a while now, but just has not had that one-on-one title shot opportunity yet. And then, of course, Celestia was the first ever women's champion in CPW and basically has been abducted for a year by Tad Peters. But now that has come to an end and she's back to her normal self again. She has been on a winning streak. I think she's 2-0 winning streak right now, leading up to this voting. And then, of course, Chalk was the third option, and she actually has a non-title win over Asterial back on the Twitch front page show. And so she has, a little bit of stake of claim into getting a shot. So all 3 of these ladies were definitely, up there in regards to getting an opportunity. But the chat voted on Celestia, who came out, and the match ended in a count out. The brawl just went outside the ring. The referee counted to a 10. Asterial couldn't make it back into the ring in time. Celestia gets back in and cheers. She wins the match and now also has a win over the women's champion non-title, or I guess it was title, but no title changes hands on a ring count out. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the women's championship moves forward from here. You've got Chalk, who's got a win over Ash. You've got Celestia, who's got a ring out win over Ash, and you got Lucinda in there somewhere, and then God knows who else is hanging in the wings, wanting that women's title opportunity. So we'll see where that ends up moving forwards, going into what I believe is Beach Brawl at the end of June. After that, we had another match that was not voted on by the viewers at all. It was just a tag team open challenge match. Of course, our two-time world tag team champions, the Titans, Anubis Khan and Welsh Mosher, were wanting to open a challenge out to anybody, anywhere, and they got interrupted by some really awful Power Rangers karaoke music. And we came to find out that the people behind that were the return of the longtime historical archive characters of Shamu and Fat Sting. They used to be called the Poner Rangers. Now they are called the Pooner Rangers, and they came out and actually win in their CPW debut. First time we've seen them since like Justin.tv. That's like how long it's been since we've seen those two characters come out, and they defeat the awesome Titans in this tag match. And the Mosher and Anubis Khan were not happy about this, and I'm wondering if they're going to get their revenge over these two big boys known as the Pooner Rangers, as they are now in CPW, adding another team to our already stacked tag division. Our next match, as we start to get into more of our title match block, was Sumo taking on Buttons for the TV title. This was a 4.5 match star rating. Sumo actually defeating Buttons to win his first title belt in CPW. Now Sumo is the TV champion. I believe the stipulations were no time limit, a 15 or a 10-minute time limit, or a no DQ match, if I'm not mistaken. And the viewers voted on a no time limit, I believe. Or maybe it's no DQ. No, it was a no disqualification they voted on, with the 15-minute time limit still in place. So this Cyber Slam event was full of weapons, by the way. Just every match was weapons, weapons, weapons. But yeah, Sumo ends up winning his first belt with 4.5 match star rating. So Sumo is now a champion here in CPW. Our next match was for the Kappa Championship, and Kitten had just recently won this belt, earning her first title belt in CPW as well. And we had three choices for her to go defend her belt against. It was Zozakin, Deputy Dog, and I just thought of it, Helldiver Zach. And those were your three options. The community and Twitch chat voted on Zozakin and Deputy Dog in a tie vote for the second time. And so Zozakin and Deputy Dog both came out in a three-way match for the Kappa title. But as you would believe it, Kitten once again retains her title belt over two challengers and stays the Kappa champion. We'll see what kind of shenanigans are up to this upcoming Tuesday when she's got to put her Kappa title on the line again, because you never know. Next match was Jin Von Lee taking on Butcher Pete, the #1 contender for the hardcore title. The three different options were just a variety of different match stipulations. I can't exactly remember which one won. You have to pardon me on that, on some of these, but needless to say, Jin Von Lee defeated... it was an I Quit match. That's right. The community voted on an I Quit match for the hardcore title, and it was funny hearing the stock voices scream out, I quit, on both characters, but the match basically was outside the ring the entire time. A few weapons were used, and then Jin Von Lee just basically does what she does to everybody in season 3 right now, and that's just absolutely demolish Butcher Pete after the winning streak that he was on. He won, I believe, 3 matches in a row to earn his right to get a one-on-one shot for Jin in the hardcore title, and Jin just basically steamrolls over him and makes him scream, I quit, on pay-per-view. So out of anybody in the CPW roster, I feel like Jin Von Lee is probably one of the most unstoppable characters right now in CPW. She's got that octopus stretch submission that just tears through everybody. People immediately tap out to that thing, and she, for as much of a horrible losing streak that I think she maybe won 1 match on the last game. She's basically only lost 1 match this time. She is on an unstoppable God mode run right now. as hardcore champion. And I'm looking forward to see how far this record goes with Jen Von Lee and WWE 2K26. It was almost like she paid her service tax last year, and now she's reaping the benefits this year for sure. The next match was for the Young Lions Championship. It was Queen Savi defeating Puppy for her first title belt in CPW and a 4.5 match star rating. I believe, actually, I don't remember what stipulation won on this one. It had to do with something involving weapons or no disqualification or something for sure, though. I apologize if I don't remember some of these stipulations, but Queen Savi did actually end up winning her first title belt, and she is now the new Young Lions champion here in CPW, defeating the second run of Puppy as the champion. Our next match was for the international title belt, and I believe this was a first blood match. Rock Hard Meat defending and defeating Wizard Boss for his title belt. And this was a very unusual situation because it was Rock Hard Meat who challenged Wizard Boz rather than the challenger challenging the champion. Rock Hard Meat took an L to Wizard Boz the week prior, and he actually reached out and challenged Wizard Boz for him to defend his title belt against. You don't really see that very often, but it paid off for Rock Hard Meat. He comes back and retains his title belt, making Wizard Boz bleed to win the match and keep his title belt. Then, of course, our semi-main event was a tag team match for the World Tag Team titles. It was Morzol and Mr. Cantot defending and defeating their challengers, Mr. Baby Mask Coke and Roxas, in a cage match, 4-star match rating. And despite Coke and Roxas, you know how they are, rocky relationship at best. If it's Facebook, it's complicated between the two. They tried their best, and it was a great back and forth match. But in the end, the tag team champions, Morzol and Mr. Cantot, do what they always do as a tag team, and they're just so slippery, and then they just win. They just win. That's Morzol and Mr. Cantot, Vicious and Delicious, winning another one to keep their tag team title belts. And now we also know that Mr. Coke will be able to take that baby mask off because his contract from the big one has come to an end as well. And I know Roxas took the L on this match with a pinfall from, I believe it was Cantot. Maybe it was Morzol. So it'll be interesting to see if Mr. Coke once again blames Roxas for losing this match, because it was Roxas who lost with the 1-2-3 pinfall. And then, of course, the main event of the evening was for the World Heavyweight title, 5-star match. It was Spinny defending her belt against Psycho T and Cassidy Ryan. And the viewers got to decide on this one out of I believe it was a 2 out of 3 falls 3-way match, a 15-minute Iron Man match, 3-way style, or a Hell in the Cell. The voters voted for a Hell in the Cell match to end off our show, and this was a very crazy one. It eventually led up to all 3 people getting on top of the cage cell. Cassie Ryan took a dive through the top of the cell and crashed into the ring, and he was basically out. And then Psycho T got the win over Cassidy Ryan, not Spinny, by the way, who was the champion. Psycho T pinning and eliminating Cassidy Ryan to win the match and once again become World Heavyweight Champion for a second time. That was a 5-star match rating to end off the night of CyberSlam. But yeah, big night, lots of titles changing hands, and more importantly, some titles staying with their owner. And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how these storylines affect things moving forward. It's going to the Beach Brawl at the end of June. And yeah, it was overall a really good show. Lots of storylines coming to a head, and more storylines sprouting from the results of what we saw here. Grem, do you have any thoughts about anything that happened last Tuesday? Maybe titles changing hands, your match personally, or anything else that you see here?
Well, it's good to have an an Iron Knuckle champion, and then also seeing Darla, the newest member of CPW. It was kind of neat to see. My match of the night, I know it's going to sound cliche, but it definitely was the main event. Psycho T now is a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. That's pretty awesome. I do know how that feels, thankfully and luckily. But also, I was kind of watching that Rock Hard Meat and Wizard Boz match. I thought that was a really good one too. So, but yeah, going forward, there's a lot of like question marks. The Puna Rangers beating the Titans, which was an undefeated tag team for a long time. That's kind of puts more of a ripple into the tag team division. And Kind of seeing the Kappa title in a triple threat was kind of neat to see too. It's definitely a different change of pace. So great show. I love the voting. I think that was a lot of fun. Everyone was able to contribute and kind of change how this pay-per-view was going to end. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait for Tuesday, and then of course next month for our next one, Beach Brawl.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned match of the night. I'm trying to look through all these different matches and try to decide what my match of the night was. And you are right. The main event was pretty awesome. Seeing Cassie Ryan, sorry, Sev, getting crunched through the top of the cell. I mean, that never gets old. Seeing someone get crunched through the top of Hell in the Cell. I don't know. I kind of like.
They're all good matches except for mine.
I kind of like the semi-main event too. I like the tag match in the cage because it was very back and forth. Coke and Roxas could have won at different times. They kept climbing up to the top of the cage. There were so many climb up to the tops attempts in this match, which you don't usually see the AI do in a cage match on the game. Usually it's like one person climbs up and then it's over for half the match. So that was really good AI for that match. I really liked seeing that one. Just the stakes on the line for Jen Von Lieb, just not just with her title, but just this unstoppable mean streak that she's on. Just to see her do that again was interesting to watch from my standpoint. Of course, seeing the Pooner Rangers come out and like 4 people know who they are and remember them, and everybody else be like, "What is this?" Was fun to see and experience. And then just the wild, wacky nature of the whole Connie thing, where everyone voted on the game to just randomize what it is, and the fact that I switched the screen over and it was even question marks for me. Like I didn't even know what was going to be picked through the new feature in the new game with the random was kind of cool. We'll have to put that into play a little bit more because that was actually really fun, fun to do there. But yeah, overall, good show. I enjoyed it, and to be able to, like you said, to be able to have the community in the Twitch chat, be able to contribute and decide the pace in a lot of these matches, the opponents for a lot of these matches was really cool, and so everyone got to contribute a little bit to the show for sure. Ash, what were your thoughts on CyberSlam? Is Celestia the person that you would have picked? You don't have to tell us who you voted for, but is that who you would have wanted to see? And what was your match of the night? And what are your thoughts just overall about last Tuesday?
I will say I definitely did want it to be Celestia because she was the first women's champion, and just she hasn't had a chance to really shine within the last year because she's been stuck with Tad and that whole thing. So seeing her actually be able to break free and then get that chance at the women's title, and even her winning with the ring out kind of shakes up the division now because it's like, well, she has a win over the champion, Chalk has a win over the champion, and then there's Lucinda who's at the top of the ranking. So it's like that makes next month a lot more interesting to see if it would be like I don't think a triple threat, but a fatal 4-way, or what happens with that next month. As for my match of the night, I would definitely have to say it was the main event. Just Hell in the Cells are always just like a good match type because of the people getting crunched through the chop, and just I don't know the words to describe it since I'm not very good with wrestling stuff, but just like that whole thing's always fun to watch and see what happens with it, for me at least.
Also, one thing while you're talking about your match with Celestia, the one thing I actually forgot to mention was the fact that Maggie Moore actually came out and interrupted the match, showing that their alliance, even though that Tad Peters is long gone as it stands now, in that they have gone their own separate ways. Despite having a match earlier in the night, Maggie Moore came out to help Celestia in the match against Asterial. And the first thing I thought was, even though that they're no longer, corrupted ceramic dolls, possessed by Tad Peters anymore, and now they're their true selves, they still remember that Asterial has that alliance with Tad Peters. Asterial, by extension, is a bit a part of the Dead Zone herself, and they also probably remember that Asterial was helping them just a month ago at the big one try to take out Nathan Moore and his group.
Also real quickly to touch on that real fast, it could be the other way around. Tad could still have an influence between those two, and they are working together. Even if they think that they are friends, maybe they're not, and they're only friends because of Tad Peters.
Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Asterial?
I could see that, but they were tagging together even before Tad Peters was a thing, because they had their own little tag team, if I remember correctly, that they were doing together. So they've had a time before the Tad Peters thing. So I could still see them being close together even after that, since they went through all the trauma and stuff with that.
Well, just chalk that up to Just chalk that up to another person at the top of the women's rankings that would like to have that women's title is Maggie Moore, and we'll have to see how that all pans out. Very interesting indeed. But that was your CyberSlam recap for last Tuesday. We'll have to see how this upcoming Tuesday will be the first Tuesday in June as we start a new road leading to Beach Brawl at the end of June. I keep saying Beach Brawl. I hope it is Beach Brawl from Brog. Oops. But I'm pretty sure it is, because I think Scars and Stripes is July. But yeah, Beach Brawl at the end of June. And we'll be back next Tuesday to talk about what happened on this upcoming episode of CPW Wrestling. But that will conclude our CPW report. Sounds like we're just over 2 hours here. That's good, because we're about to wrap things up here. Real quickly, we're going to go through the Croakitoad stream team and give you all shout outs, all you lovely streamers out there that's part of the Team Toad Twitch team, and see what you guys have all been up to this week. So we'll give you all shout outs here, and we'll just start from the very top of the list here. And I was actually in her stream earlier today. Lucinda TTV, our first ever streamer of the week, continuing her first time ever run through Watch Dogs 2. She's been streaming a lot lately, doing lots of Watch Dogs, and the fact that she's been playing this basically every day that she can just proves that she's really enjoying the game, and I hope you are. And again, I need to play Watch Dogs 2, and seeing you get through it makes me really encourage me to want to play it after having played the original before. Then after that, we had Sarah Boo, who is playing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and that is a really awesome game, all-time classic there. So hope Sarah Boo has been enjoying that great Zelda game. Then we had Raji, our missing panelist here this week. He was playing 007 First Light. Wondering how he enjoys that. If he were here, he'd be able to tell us, because I really want to play that. RuneSpace, Dragon Wilds, and Batman Arkham Asylum. So got a trifecta of games there for Razorback Hitman this week. Then we had Roxas997, who was also on the Watch Dogs kick, only he was playing the original. And I believe he streamed, was it 5 out of the 7 days this week? Or was it 7 out of the 7 days? He streamed a lot of Watch Dogs this week, taking a lot of Lucinda with him there. Then we had RE Kitten 137, who is playing some special events. Wonder what that was. Resident Evil 6 and Minecraft. Ooh, you can't go wrong with Minecraft. So I hope you're enjoying that, Minecraft RE Kitten. Then we have Feats Beats Games, who is doing more Dino Crisis speedruns, trying to improve his PB record there. He was also playing that Bubsy 4D that he won last month from right here at Tabletop Toad Talk Podcast. So Feats, hope you're enjoying that Bubsy 4D. Let me know how that 9 lives mode achievement goes for you, because that's the only thing holding me back from playing that. And it sounds like it's going to be tough. And I really hate that they added that as an achievement, because I would have already went through Bubsy 4D already by now. But good to know that Feats Beats Games was our last month's game giveaway winner here on the podcast, and he was playing it on his Twitch stream. That's awesome. And then he was also playing Croc Legend of the Gobos, the remaster of the original Croc game. Then we had Maggie, Puerto Rican Chipmunk, was playing Disney Dreamlight Valley and Resident Evil 4. She's definitely on that Resident Evil kick. Love to see it. We had Nope It's Nate coming back to streaming, and he was doing some NASCAR 25. I believe he's going through his season mode, his campaign on the game. And I'll be joining him soon on the Xbox, because I recently bought NASCAR 25, and I will also be going for all of the achievements in it on the Xbox console. So you can expect me and Nate to be working together for those 2 multiplayer achievements soon. Then we had the Chain TV, who's doing even more Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. He's really on that. You know, for a long time, Chain was doing nothing but Res Evil. Now he has totally switched gears over to Eiyuden Chronicle and has been playing that a lot here lately. Let me know how it is. Is that a good game? Is that a good game to start off the Eiyuden Chronicle franchise with? Hit me up. Let me know. Then we had Zazarus, who this week was playing World of Warcraft, NASCAR 25, Overwatch, and Fortnite. Sounds like a lot of multiplayer there. And of course, jumping back into the never-ending game that is World of Warcraft. Hopefully that was a good time for you there. Then we had last week's Streamer of the Week, PuddleDuck22, aka Buttons, was playing more Res Evil Requiem. And good to know that Buttons was able to get through that first phase of that surgery. They rescheduled her to come back again to do the real stuff. But our thoughts are with you, Buttons. We're all thinking of you, and we know you'll plow through the surgery and get through it and come out on the other side feeling better. And we're all with you there, Buttons. But yeah, Buttons, PuddleDuck22 was last week's Streamer of the Week, doing more Resident Evil Requiem. Then we had Patrick's Raider, who was also doing more Resident Evil Requiem. Then Zosakin, who is doing more of his Archipelago, and that is like he constantly does this each week. I believe it's like a weekly thing with members of his community where you play a bunch of different retro games in one, and it kind of just switches as you go. It's very interesting, very unique dynamic is Archipelago, but he's constantly on that, streaming that on his Twitch channel. Then we had Agatha, who is playing Silent Hill 2 Remake and Resident Evil Requiem, always either in that Zelda craving or that horror game craving is Agatha. Always a fun time streaming on that Germany time zone. So a lot of us missed that stream, but definitely encourage everyone to check out Agatha if you're up in the early hours or the super late hours America time. Then we had Queen Savi, who is playing some more Tomb Raider 2 Remake, Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remake there. No doubt probably going for another set of challenges, speed runs, PBs, no loads, no meds, or some kind of challenge that she has not done yet when she's done a lot of them. Then we had Burnsy, and this is probably the most spot on username to game I've ever seen in my life. But Burnsy was playing the brand new 007 First Light. Wouldn't expect anything less from the slapper himself. Hope you're enjoying that 007 First Light, Burnsy. Let me know how you like it. As the biggest James Bond fan I know, I really would like to hear what your feedback is on the new game. Then we had I Am Daniel McGee, who is playing Sonic Racing Crossworlds and some Fortnite. Sounds like a good time there. Q the Stupidity was playing Tomodachi Life, a game I really need to jump into. I've seen some really fun ones with people creating all the characters from the Amazon show The Boys. They've made like a boys island with all the characters, and there's like lots of fun to be had. I think a Croakitoad Tomodachi Life island would be really fun, just creating all the different community members there and just watching what happens, especially when you have characters like Roxas in there. You never know how that would go down. Then we had JoJo Spud 247, who was playing some Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. I'm right there with you, JoJo. I know what that's all like. If you're going for all the achievements, God rest your soul. I wish you the best of luck on that. If it's just a casual playthrough, then yeah, absolutely. And I hope you're enjoying the game. Then we had Honey Lil Yee, who came back to streaming and was playing some Satisfactory. I was there for a little bit watching the game. Looks like a fun little game. Welcome back to the streaming world, Honey Lil Yee. Hopefully all your tech issues are resolved there. Then we had Lilu Horrors, who is playing Resident Evil 1 Remake. Ooh, that's a good one. Hopefully you had a good time with that, Lilu. Resident Evil obviously hits home really hard for me, and the remake's a good one. Then Atomic Bomb 1980 was playing once again, just a big collection of games this week. We saw him playing Metroid Prime Remastered, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Dark Souls 3. And I think I was there for a part of his Dark Souls 3 run, game that I still have yet to touch and play. I've actually heard Dark Souls 3 is easier than any of the other Dark Souls games. I've heard lots of people say that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll have to find out when I get around to it. But yeah. That is your, well, actually, let me see what people replied to me in the Discord. I always ping you guys, stream team, in the Discord each week to see what you guys say. But Lucinda says here, still working through Watch Dogs 2. We passed the halfway mark, aiming to finish up the game in the next 2 weeks since I only have weekends to stream the main story. Still enjoying it. Okay. Lone Star 82 says, well, I suppose this week I should do a birthday stream on Wednesday the 3rd. So Lone Star, your birthday is on June 3rd. Well, my birthday is on July 3rd. So happy 1 month apart birthday to Lone Star in advance. And I hope it's a good one for you. And then Zazakin dropped some knowledge on us with the Archipelago stuff. And he said, I'm making progress. My 20 game solo Archipelago. Plan to do these once a year. I'm going to put in 1 more week into it before shifting to other games and doing the Zozo Pelago in the background. And then he just shows a bar chart of all the different games. We've got Chrono Trigger, we've got Dragon Warrior 1, Final Fantasy 1, Mega Man 2, Kirby Superstar, Ocarina of Time, Lufia 2, Super Mario 64, Pokemon Red, Blue, Zelda 1, Super Mario World, Earthbound, A Link to the Past. Just, oh my God, this is just a crazy amount of games here. Good, awesome retro games. And like I said, the Archipelago thing is really interesting. It just combines a bunch of different games while you're like playing one game. It is a very interesting way to mesh all that together. Well, I hope you are able to get through your Zozo Pelago. God, I can't even say that. Successfully. And I can't wait to see a little bit more of that because it definitely sounds interesting and you're playing it a lot. So I wouldn't mind taking a crack at it one time, perhaps. But yeah, that is our streamers stream team report. And now there's only one thing left to do here as we are at the 225 mark. And that is to reveal our streamer of the week for the week of May 31st. This is our last week of May and into the first week of June. And after looking at everyone's streams for this past 7 days, we have collectively decided that for the first time ever, our streamer of the week for the first time will in fact be Roxas997. That's right. We got hand clap SFX going. Yay.
You need to shut up.
And that, yes. Roxas997 for the first time, streamer of the week for the last week of May into June. He's been playing a lot of Watch Dogs. He was very consistent. I believe what we saw earlier, he was either streaming between 5 and 7 days this past week. So very big. And there was like a 12-hour stream in there as well. So very consistent. Going through Watch Dogs. I don't know if he's going for all the trophies or not, but sounds like he might be. But yeah, that is your streamer of the week. And good luck to you on the rest of your Watch Dogs run if you're still playing through it. And yeah, we're going to end things off on episode 13 of Toad Talk Podcast with the clip of the week. And it comes from Roxas himself, our streamer of the week. And this clip actually comes from us 6 years ago, because we couldn't find any recent clips of him playing Tomb Raider. And of course, naturally, it's clipped by Coke Soda Can. So you know shenanigans are about to occur here. But here we go. This is Roxas playing Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider. And let's see what happens.
Oh, wow, I'm an idiot.
Well, there you go. Short, sweet, and to the point. Wow, I'm an idiot. That's Roxas from 6 years ago, our clip of the week for this week's Toad Talk Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in and listening this week. A much shorter version of Toad Talk this week for episode 13. Super happy about that. Maybe we can get it even shorter, and we'll try to work on that. But maybe under 2 hour par, hopefully, is the goal, I think, at this point. But I would like to thank my panelists, my co-panelists, for being here once again for episode 13. That is Zazarus. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, again, this has always been fun, and everyone stay radical and stay radical to each other, and we'll see you guys next week.
And for the first time ever joining us to provide some commentary and thoughts, filling in for Raji, is Ashterial. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully I can help again if you guys need it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening, and we'll see you next Sunday with more Toad Talk Podcast. Thank you, everybody. And please, if you enjoyed what you listened here, please drop a like or a subscribe on the video on whatever platform you're listening to. We really appreciate those likes and those subscribes. And please provide some commentary. Let us know in the comments what you liked, what you would like for us to talk about. Open up the discussion for us for next week's episode. We would love to hear your feedback and get some topics on what you would like for us to talk about, whether it's a trailer or just a topic of conversation. Let us know, hit us up in the comments, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.